or just threw too much stuff at you all around, but today is going to be the worst of that. Yeah, don't you love that setup? Today we're going to go through digital marketing. Now, to be clear, digital marketing is a part of just about everything that you do. There's some sort of digital marketing in your skill set as a real estate agent that you're going to have to kind of figure out. And the digital part of it, the technology continues to change. And you have to kind of stay on top of that. If you want to be competitive in any industry, I think, you have to really understand where things are trending or where they're going when it comes to the digital technology side of things. Now, that doesn't mean that the relationship piece of your business isn't the most important part of it. And I still believe that. But your ability to expand on those relationships, to get more engagement, more reach, and to use intelligent technologies to help you give better information to your clients and put them in a better position to get what they want. And on the listing side of things, of course, using technology like your 3D tours and your drone footage, things that are going to help to not only, put your homes up for sale and market them that way, but also indicate that you have the technology available that people want when they're looking at properties, right? They want to see more than just pictures. Pictures are kind of old school right now. They're the first step in a funnel. So today we're going to talk about funneling. We're going to talk about hooks and call to actions and kind of all these marketing things and online advertising. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Maybe it might be better instead of trying to write down a bunch of notes, because I'm going to throw out a whole bunch of stuff at you. If you haven't read chapter 4, and it will be something that will go, like I said, throughout all the chapters in some way or another, maybe it's better today just to let it soak in a little bit. If you've read it, which I hope you have, if you've taken the time to do it, you might have some questions or you already have some insights. I can't emphasize how important that is. I didn't make it through college because I'm a smart guy. I made it through college because I read chapters before I went to lectures, and then followed up with, I learned how to study is what I did. And as you continue to grow in your knowledge of the things that you need to do, whatever that may be, even if it's outside of work, you'll find that your ability to learn and grow through that learning is really the key to growth in any way. So I hope that helps at all in terms of how I want you to soak in what I'm going to tell you today. Because I'm going to hit you with the fire hose. I'm going to give you a lot of information that is at first, especially if you're not really in tune with the way technology is today, AI technology in particular, artificial intelligence, marketing and advertising, then this is all going to be a little bit new to you. But I will tell you that if you don't figure this out, you are going to be missing out on, one, the ability to distinguish yourself from other agents that don't do it, and especially the discount services that don't do it. And two, your ability to bring a really high value to the offering so that people aren't questioning what you make for what you do, right? This is, like I've mentioned many times, this is no longer about a transaction. This is about value of service. Having clients see you as not just their support and their advocate towards buying and selling properties, but your ability to utilize the technologies that are available to help make sure that they get exactly what they want when they want it is what's really important. If I were to define marketing, I would say marketing is the ability to provide the right message to the right person at the right time. And there's no better time than now to do that. I'm sure it'll continue to get even smarter as it goes. But if you don't realize the kind of technology that's out there right now to understand where people are at any given time in terms of what their interests are when it comes to real estate, in your case, and how to leverage that, then you are basically using older methods to annoy 95% of the people to get your 3 or 4 or 5% that are actually locked and ready to buy or sell property. So we found in our research that in any given market, there's about 3 to 5% of people that are locked and ready to buy or sell property. That means if you reach out to everyone, or you're trying to reach out to your SOI, the phone calls that you make and the advertising that you may do, if you can't target it specifically to those people that are right now thinking about it, then you're annoying that other 95%. How many of you feel uncomfortable making those phone calls? I'm sure you've been to, coaching sessions before with okay, you got to call your people, and you do pop buys and other things. And typically, what we're doing is we're trying to stay top of mind. When you are ready, please let me know, right? And then we keep putting that out there. And honestly, as awesome as all of you are, and as beautiful as your faces are, the people out there that we're trying to attract, they really don't care as much about you. They want what they're trying to accomplish, which is to buy or sell property when it's appropriate for them. Now, as I mentioned in the life cycle, the homeowner life cycle, there's other areas of that life cycle that you can provide value and support, and they should be coming to you. If you do this right, every time there's anything about real estate that they have questions or needs, they should be going to you. And then you might assist them with partners, strategic partners that you put in place to help them improve their homes, to help them refinance a property before they end up buying again at another time, to help them understand what their equity is. We've talked about those type of values that you can bring to them. But you still need to have the technology in place to do that. So today I'm going to talk about primarily Facebook and Instagram. Now those aren't the only two platforms that you're going to want to be familiar with. YouTube is another really important one. You may not advertise on YouTube specifically, like pay for advertising, but all of your videos that you create, and we're going to talk about videos today. We've talked about the drone footage, that's a video, right? We talked a little bit about the video home show, which we'll cover a little bit more in a couple of classes. Next week's class is the grand open house class. Don't miss that. Every class has a little bit of digital marketing in it, but today's class is specifically about how to advertise on Facebook and Instagram to attract people that are currently looking to buy or sell property, and using the intelligence of AI technology that platform offers to help you to do that. Okay? Now, let me kind of give you a little bit of insight to where and how this all works with them. How many of you, we were listening to music, before I listened to Pandora. How many of you listen to Pandora or Spotify? Yeah, a lot of you do. When it first came out, 15 years or so ago, I remember I had signed up for Pandora, and I was creating my music list, and I was at the kitchen table, and my wife walks in, and I'm on my computer. Now at this time, the only thing that Pandora knew about me, the intelligence wasn't quite in place yet, was whatever I told it that I represented, right? What my demographic was. So I actually did put my actual birthday in there, which maybe wasn't the best thing to do. And it knew kind of where I lived, the area that I lived in, right? It's easy, it can find that out automatically now. And it knew the kind of music I liked, right? So then it starts to advertise to me, because these platforms, even as much as you may think that Pandora is made to give out free music, they don't do that. They have to make money. Just like Facebook, just like Instagram, they have to make money. And we'll talk about how important it is to understand that, because social media advertising is a conundrum for a lot of real estate agents, because they don't quite understand how that needs to work in order to benefit you and to benefit the company that is giving you that platform to advertise on. So with Pandora, when I first signed up for it, and I put my information, my wife comes around as I'm creating my music list, and there's on the side margin of the browser where Pandora was single woman over 45. Said that single woman over 45. Yeah. Pandora didn't know I was married, and didn't know my wife was right there. And so that's an annoyance to me. I mean, I don't want that advertising. That doesn't. Not only does it impact the platform, the offering itself. Like Pandora now, I might have a less of a good view of it, right, because of that bad advertising, right? And of course, the person that paid for that advertising, or the company that paid for it, they're wasting their money on me, right? Because I'm married and happily married. I'm not looking for single women over 45. They were also advertising over the next several months. I remember this. It was kind of funny. Funeral services. I didn't know if it was because I was going to die or it's for my parents. I don't know what it was, but I should be planning for that. So maybe that could be in there. It was Rogaine was another one. It didn't know I had hair, right? So it's crazy. Facebook and Instagram, guess what they know? They know if you have hair, right? They know a lot of things about you. So they wouldn't waste those advertising dollars on me. And then there was an advertisement for Cialis. We won't go into that. Basically, as a consumer, if I get advertised in a way that doesn't appeal to me, then it's just wasted advertising. It annoys me, and it doesn't do the advertiser any good to pay money to be in front of me, right? So advertising has changed dramatically since those days. I mean, just in the time that you've probably become a real estate agent, it's quite incredible where these platforms have come in order to understand people's interests and behaviors. That getting the right message to the right person at the right time is really where the key is. In my opinion, the MLS only represents about 25% of the potential reach that you can get from prospective buyers of your properties that you're selling. Then about 25% of that. The 75% is actually coming from these platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where you can reach more people and get more engagement and sell homes quicker and for more money than if you just rely on the MLS. Plus, it sets you apart from the other agents that don't use it. When I talk to sellers, I throw, like I said, agents under the bus all the time. Most agents are just going to rely on the MLS to send out listing alerts and basically let the that kind of platform work, do its work to get buyers interested in your property. For me, that only represents about 25% of the potential advertising and the potential reach that I can get for the people that will be interested in your property. And so I use AI targeted marketing. Okay. Now, when I say artificial intelligence, I don't want you to think that it's robots and things like that and taking over the world. It's really just an intelligence. So Meta is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, right? Do you know what meta means? What that word itself, or that? It's not I guess it is a word. Metadata, right? What does that mean? Meta is changing, dynamic, right? So what happens with Facebook and Instagram with Meta, and then these other platforms are doing it too. Even Hulu does it right now. I don't know if you knew that, but even your streaming media that you have is starting to collect information very specifically about the people that are are engaged or using those platforms. And they do it so specifically now that the advertisers can say, I want to reach not just a demographic of age or location. I want people that are currently shopping for homes. I want people that are first-time buyers shopping for homes, or people that are shopping for luxury homes in this particular area. Did you know that you can target that? Mm-hmm. That's what makes it so powerful. And if you don't know how to use this, you are honestly, in my opinion, only representing about 25% of the potential buyers that you could reach out there. And by doing so, if you don't have if you think about it, from the perspective of selling a property, how many buyers do you need for a property? One buyer, right? But what drives up urgency and price on a property that's for sale? The many, right? When you have lots of people, the more people that are interested in a property, the more it's going to drive urgency and the more it's going to drive price. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to use Facebook and Instagram appropriately to drive interest in your properties, and of all the advertising you can do. So this is one thing that you hopefully will notice with this coaching that I do compared to where I'm sure you've all been to Facebook, Instagram classes before, and they teach you about Facebook and Instagram as this kind of platform for advertising, but a lot of times they don't teach you what to advertise, what actually to put up there. How many of you felt confused? Like, I know I'm supposed to use this, and I know it seems to work. It does for other people because I see all their stuff. But really what you see up there doesn't mean it's actually working. Most people, I don't think, and when I say people, agents that are trying to advertise, really don't use it the way it's meant to get what you need from it. So the difference between social media marketing and advertising compared to like the PPC advertising or TV advertising, things like that. Do you know what PPC is? Pay-per-click? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What pay-per-click is like if you do a search on Google for something that you want. Like my son plays soccer, so we're looking for he's a keeper. So new keeper gloves, right? I might even know the size. So we get how many of you get very specific with your searches? Because if you're not too specific, then you get a lot of junk, right? So we use what's called long tail keyword searches. Like we'll put in a whole sentence of what we're looking for. Size, this, soccer gloves, whatever it is, keeper gloves, whatever. And then we get a response, a list of websites that have what we're looking for. We looked for that, we want it, so do we mind getting advertised for it? No, right? We're looking for it. So on a pay-per-click, you can select keywords that you pay for, and the results will show a couple of ads at the top of the organic list. The organic means these are websites that came up organically based on the keyword search that you did, which are good because they don't have to pay for people to click on those. And then the others are advertisements. The advertisements, if they're done right, are actually usually better at getting exactly what someone wants that they're searching for when they want to purchase something. That's why a lot of times you'll even search just on Amazon specifically for something, because I don't want a bunch of stuff I have to mull through and click a bunch of times to get to what I want. I want to get exactly what I'm looking for. That's what that kind of advertising is about. Okay, and you might do PPC ads. If you use Boomtown or Sync or some of those type of services, that's how they get leads. I don't know if you knew that, but their leads come through this pay-per-click type of advertising. Make sense? The difference with social media is people don't want to be advertised to on social media, right? How many of you scroll through your Facebook wall or your Instagram wall and think, oh, I can't wait till someone advertises to me, right? We don't want that advertising. And if Meta doesn't want all of their people just to leave their platform because they keep getting all these annoying ads, which that's what will happen, people just stop looking at it if that's the case, then they'll lose all of them. Right now, Meta has 3.6 billion users worldwide. 3.6 billion, right? So where do you think a lot of our people are? On Facebook and Instagram. And how often are they on Facebook and Instagram?
Every day.
24/7, because it's on their phones and it's always logged in. And what Facebook and Instagram does, as well as some of these other sites, is that they not only track what you do on their platform, but they have cookies set up and other ways of basically monitoring what you do outside of that. You click on a link and go outside of it, they know. Now, does Facebook and Instagram have homes for sale, even Zillow links and stuff like that? They do. Mm-hmm. So it knows, it collects this metadata, this dynamic data, and it specifically knows with you individually as that user what you seem to be interested in. So it uses algorithms. You've heard that term before. So you basically have this big amount of data, right? Huge data source, and it's very dynamic, dynamically changing data. That's why they call it metadata. And then they have these algorithms that try to make sense of that data. And these algorithms are saying, okay, I'm looking at what each one of you individually do on there, and I'm going to start showing you things that you seem to be interested in. It seems to be right for you, right? That right message to the right person. So that when you do see ads, you're not thinking that this is annoying. This, oh wow, how many of you have had this happen where you were talking about something? Yeah, some people that have the Alexa or they have the Google and they're like, whoa, wait a second, we were just talking about this and now it's showing up on my feed. I don't know, I can't tell you if that's what Alexa and the Google, what do they call it? Yeah, Siri and that too. Siri is one of them as well, that they're listening in on us. But the idea that as an advertiser that we can reach people that specifically at this moment are interested in something is very powerful. If you think about it from an advertiser's point of view. I love it from an advertiser's point of view. The way you feel about it from a consumer's point of view, you can decide whether you like it or not. I'm sure some of you hate Facebook and Instagram because of that. Anyone wear a tinfoil hat or anything? And but their goal isn't to be nefarious. Their goal is to provide a platform that makes it easy for advertisers to promote their services without annoying people. And that's what I love. I mean, that's my mantra when it comes to even Captivate. That's why we call it Captivate. I want to captivate people's attention because they care about what I'm offering, not because I keep throwing it out there and hope that it sticks at one point, right? I don't want to annoy people. I don't like making sales calls. In my coaching program, I don't teach people to make sales calls because who likes to get pitched to? Who likes to get closed? I mean, I remember going to those sales programs and practice your elevator pitch. You do it in the mirror and you record it, and then. But the thing is who wants to be pitched to? The elevator pitch. I would hate it if some guy was blabbing in my ear for 30 seconds about how important he or she was or their product was because they caught me in an elevator and I can't get out. That's where that idea of elevator pitch came from. You're stuck in an elevator and you can't leave, so I'm going to pitch to you while I'm in the elevator. That to me sounds quite annoying. So how do we position ourselves as someone that provides a very valuable service that certain people at certain times need help with? And again, as I've mentioned before, this is beyond a transaction. Any of you can do a transaction, but your ability to help people beyond the transaction is where the real demand is. And because anyone can do the other part of it, then do something more, and then people will pay attention to you. Okay? So on social media, we got to figure out how do we put stuff out there that people want to see, the nice thing about it is Facebook and Instagram know what they want to see or what they don't want to see. How many of you have been on Facebook or Instagram and you spent a little time engaged with a post, and then all of a sudden you started seeing a whole lot more posts like that or from that same person? Because the algorithm is smart enough to know, like, oh, you showed interest in that, so now I'm going to show you more of it. Okay? So as far as real estate goes, what do you think is the most valuable real estate advertising that can be done on social media? When people are really just out there trying to, live their lives and, network with people and share things with family, put their vacation pictures up there, and their cat does a really cool flip or something, and they put that up there, gets tons of likes, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to real estate, what do they want to see out there? Do they want to see a real estate agent, selfie, and a real estate agent talk about how great they are, or that they just help someone sell or buy a house? Not so much. What do they want to see if they're interested in buying or selling properties? They want properties. That's what they want. So guess what the very best advertising, like I'm talking about, if you talk about the typical advertising, like way up here is the best advertising you can do on real estate. Guess what that is? Your listings. If you get a listing and you do your ads, which I'm going to show you today, and you do that, you're going to get more listings. And then you're going to advertise more listings, and then you're going to get more listings and advertise more. Guess what happens? It's the snowball effect. All the snow that's outside. Mm-hmm. It's the snowball effect of good advertising, because what people want to see when they're interested in buying and selling property are beautiful homes. If they're trying to sell a property and they see you promote these incredible properties and you do such a great job promoting them and advertising them, who do they want to sell their house? You, because they see it. Not because you say it in a self-promoting video, but because they see it. And they see it often when they're interested. That's the other great thing about social media advertising, is it throttles automatically for you. That's fine. What I mean by that is that when someone in your SOI, someone that's following you, someone that you've targeted or whatever, when they're not interested in what you have to offer, right, then they're not going to see so much of it. And when they are, they're going to see more of it. And so it kind of throttles us. I've had a lot of agents say, well, I don't want to put too much stuff out there, or not enough, or they're trying to find that sweet spot. Let Facebook and Instagram take care of that for you. You don't have to worry about that. It actually is going to do that well for you. Is this being charged? Oh, it is. Okay. So the best advertising is your listing. So I'm going to show you, as we've kind of gone through the sequence so far, that listings is the place to put all of your marketing and sales efforts. You'll get plenty of buyers. And next week is the grand open house class. You can't miss that, because that's what this advertising is leading up to. There's an urgency that you create, which I'll explain in your advertising, that get people to want to take that next step in what you're trying to get them to do, buy your property, and even see you as their next agent. And then after that, it'll be the captivating buyers class. I'll teach you about what you can do on the buyer end, to keep buyers there, and you can use social media for that as well. But today we're going to go over those 5 ads. Remember we talked about that? So if you do 5 ads over 5 days leading up to a grand open house, I will tell you that in all that we've done to try to figure out the best way to advertise and help agents grow their business, this is the very best way to do that. Now I'll teach you about a couple of other things that you'll do post sell of a property, also like I said on the buying side of that. But the number one thing you can do is to get more listings, advertise those listings the way that I'll show you, lead them up to that grand open house, help sell that open house, do some before and after video of what you did to help sell that open house, which I'll talk about. And if that's all you ever did, your business would just take off. And we've seen it, and it works. So let's go through those 5 ads. Now, see. First of all, let me tell you about the tools that you're going to need, the technologies that are important to have for this to work. You all have, hopefully, a Facebook account, just an account, your profile on there, and hopefully an Instagram. Now, what's the difference between Facebook and Instagram? Why do we have those 2 that we're talking about?
One's for an older group. And
one's for old people, one's for young people, yeah. So you're probably on Instagram, I would say. Yes, yeah. And how many of you are like, I've never even been on Instagram? You're like, I don't even know how it works, type of thing, right? So it is a age demographic difference between the 2. If you're over 35 or 40, you're probably on Facebook. And if you're on that younger side or under that age, you're probably on Instagram. Those are the two main demographics for who we're trying to attract. Now there are TikTok, and there's some other ones out there that you could use. I don't know what's going on with China and taking information, so I don't with TikTok, but there's some other ones out there that you can consider as well. So you need to have a Facebook business page. Sorry. So you have a Facebook account, which is fine. You have to have that first. Then you need to open up a Facebook business page. You cannot advertise on Facebook or Instagram even, really. I guess you could on Instagram because you can promote them, but they really work well together. But you need a Facebook business page. Make sense? How many of you signed up with a Facebook business page, tried to post some things on it, nothing happened, and you're like, forget that because I have more people that follow me on my own Facebook, right? I'll explain how that works, but you need a Facebook business page. In the book is a link to where you can follow it to learn how to set it up if you need help, but it's pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward, okay? Instagram, you now need to have an Instagram business account. It used to be that you just had an Instagram account, but now they have, or it's been a while now, but they have an Instagram business account. You need the business account in order to advertise. And I'll explain why advertising on these platforms is important in just a second, but you need to have those too. I would recommend having a YouTube channel or YouTube account using the same email address that you use for your business, and they should be different from your personal email. Some people keep them the same, but it should be different. And I recommend also a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is where you're going to be able to attract and promote your listings for other agents. It's a professional networking platform, and so that's a good place to put that. And also there are people that have really good credit scores and good jobs, and people are buyers and sellers on LinkedIn as well. But you're going to advertise on Facebook and Instagram. At least that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay? Make sense for those? And then WhatsApp is a good app to have on your phone. So these are all apps that you'll have on your phone. And you'll have Facebook Messenger, which will be part of that whole setup as well. But those are the accounts, more or less, that you need. Any questions about all those accounts? Yes?
Do you need a different account other than your own personal LinkedIn account?
No, your personal LinkedIn account is fine because that's a professional. It's kind of like your professional, you as a real estate agent, not you as a person, right? So that's just fine, just like that. Yes?
So say you set these up for former businesses in your past. Do you close them all down, or do you try to navigate away? I have a creator account as opposed, saying, well, do you want a business account or do you want to keep your creator account?
On which, on
This is
Facebook?
on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. And Facebook does kind of they have creator, and then there's the influencer and stuff like that. It is different. So
different.
I don't know. You can change the account if you want, or if you already have lots of followers and those are people that also you're doing business with, I would just change it. But when I say account, okay, let me be clear with Facebook. That maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. You have a Facebook account, you as a person. Then you have a business page.
I do have a business page as a creator.
As a creator.
Not as a business. Like they
Okay.
actually differentiate.
Yeah.
Do I want to sell something off of my Facebook
Yeah.
business page?
Yeah.
Is different than displaying my services.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the difference.
Was a service. I didn't sell anything.
Exactly.
So I was a creator,
Yeah.
not
So I would change it if you have lots of people that follow you and that are still part of your SOI, which I assume they are. I would just change it from a creator to a business page, right? And so it's a service account. You provide a service and not products. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So but a business page is what you're going to want to have on those two. You cannot advertise without a business account. Okay. Now let me explain why this is so important. Facebook and Instagram are for-profit companies. One of the biggest misconceptions about this networking platform is that you can advertise for free. That's wrong. And that if you have a lot of followers, then that's going to make that advertising work. So the goal of, the name of the game, I guess, is to get a lot of followers. Followers will come, but that really has nothing to do with the advertising part of it so much. It does a little bit, because the more followers you have and the more they engage with what you do, the more organic reach you'll get that you don't have to pay for. Okay? But I don't want you to be stuck on this idea that, one, I don't have to pay for it, right? It does it automatically. And two, it's based on how many followers or likes that I have, which really is not. Now, you will grow that following when your advertisements and your posts, whatever they may be, even if they're not ads, have meaning to the people that want to follow it, right? That want to see it. But you'll find that with what you do as a business professional in real estate is that you're catching people at certain periods of that life cycle, right? That are interested in what you're showing or displaying or advertising on those platforms based on what their current interests are. And that's good. That's the way it should be. How many of you would leave Facebook or Instagram if you started getting a whole bunch of crap on there all the time, right? We would. We just wouldn't want that. So that's what they're trying to avoid doing, okay? So you do have to pay for it. If you don't pay for it, you are not going to get the type of response that you really want from that kind of paid advertising, okay? Let me give you an example just so I can show you how that works. Let me show here. So you'll see that some of these, you know, this one has 28 likes because I advertised it, but look at the insights to this. Let me see if I can find some good ones. 6,923 post impressions, 3,549 reach, 519 people actually clicked on that and went to it. That's how I get all those people to the open house. If you ever wondered how you get 100, 200 people to the open house, if you leave it to the MLS, you won't get that many. But if you advertise it correctly on social media, you can. You're going to reach a lot more people. And look at all those engagements. What I'm going to show you is how to get that based on paid advertising is what you need to do. But the brilliant part of this is I've targeted people that are specifically shopping in this area for a home, you know, or maybe even a luxury home in this case, right? That's what makes this so powerful. Does that make sense? So let me show you another one, just so you kind of get a sense of the kind of reach you're getting. 29,260 impressions. That means it showed up on 29,000 walls, right? You know, post reach 18,949. 61 people clicked on it, you know, etc. So you're getting a lot more engagement. That how many of you put something up on Facebook or Instagram, especially on a business account, and you get like 4 likes, and that's it. Nothing else happens. Yeah, think of it this way. If you go to you're in a mall and you go to the food courts and they pass out the little chicken on the stick, you know, type of thing. That's not going to feed you lunch. They're just doing that to bait you, right, to get you to want to buy the meal, right? Facebook is a for-profit company. Yeah, you can post stuff up there and you can even reach a few people. You don't pay for it, you're really wasting your time because it's not going to get you the kind of reach that this platform provides, right? It's a very, very, very powerful way to reach the right people, okay? So, let's go through and talk about those 5 ads, and I'll show you how to advertise those. And then hopefully we have enough time before I have to jet out of here and get back to Denver. Let's go over some Facebook group. It's not really advertising. You can actually do this without paying for it to get leads through, you know, some buyer leads and things like that. So the 5 ads. How many of you actually read the chapter? Oh, wow, look at that. I'm so impressed. Makes me so happy. There's 5 ads there. And what I'm going to teach you today, and this is why I said maybe you can take notes, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed with this. Because you could drive yourself crazy and then you stop listening and you stop kind of getting the overview of what this is all about. You will get this. I don't want you to feel stressed about this. Because if you do, guess what happens? You give up and you don't do it. You can figure this out. I think I used the analogy before of, you know, I'm sure you've all helped a 16-year-old figure out how to drive, right? And all the, you know, the dials and buttons and the mirrors and the merging into traffic and parking and all that kind of stuff is actually, if you think about it, for a 16-year-old, that's pretty overwhelming. Why did they figure out how to do it? Or how did they figure out how to do it? Well, they're determined, number one. No kid, you know, teenage kid wants to be stuck at home without being able to go out and drive, right? Isn't that the main driver? I want to do this so bad, and I see other people doing it, so I can do it. I want you to approach this like that. You have to believe that you're not too old or too technology adverse to be able to figure this out, unless you tell yourself that you are, right? Otherwise, you can figure it out. So I want you to believe, no matter how old you are, no matter how much you've avoided technology, and it seems like everything breaks when you try to use it, that you can figure this out. And if you don't, just like that teenager that wants to get out of the house, you know, and be able to drive, If you want to grow your real estate business, you have to figure out how to do this. Now, here's the best thing about it. You're going to do it yourself for the first few months. And if you do it right and you do it well, if you follow what I say, if you trust that what we've done and put together is a good model to follow, you will get to a point that you can hire someone else to assist you with all that. But do not, this is the biggest mistake I see real estate agents do. They go out there and they try to find a company and hire them to do their social media marketing. It's the biggest mistake ever, because it's not your voice, and it's not your workflow and process, and it's not necessarily dealing with an offering of service. It's just about top of mind marketing. Have you heard top of mind marketing before? Oh, I got you all these likes. I'll even report back to you how much engagement and likes, even like what I showed you here. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you got that many more deals or that many more people showed up to your open house. Just means they put a cat video up there that jumped around a house and they got a lot of likes or something like that. It needs to be your voice. You do it yourself. Figure out how to do it. Create your voice for it. And I've helped you hopefully with the book to give you the operating procedures, the workflow that you'll need to get through that. Figure out how to do it, and then you can assign that or delegate that to somebody else. And as we get towards the end of this, I'll even show you how you can get a marketing and a transactional coordinator. Maybe it'll be the same at first, and then you'll have two different ones that can actually take on a lot of this responsibility that you have, and that's how you grow your business. You do not need to grow your business by working more hours, right? Or by hiring other agents and trying to get some commission from them or split. You can actually grow your business by creating an operational and strategic partner network that allows you to grow without you having to do everything yourself, right? But you do have to figure out this on your own, how to do it right, and then you can assign it to someone else. Make sense? Okay. So take a breath. If ever you get really uptight, just like, oh, I can do it, I can figure it out. So the reason I'm going to show you the 5 ads over the 5 days is because it follows a very specific formula of advertising that most of you probably haven't gone through marketing, and you didn't get an MBA or go to marketing, get a degree in marketing or something like that. So this is kind of marketing 101. But it is something that if you can follow these principles or these steps, you will be able to do this successfully, right? So I'm going to teach you about a hook and a call to action, the 2, 5, 15-second rule of advertising. I'm throwing all this stuff at you, but you'll see how it all fits together. And what we call funneling, how to funnel someone through an advertisement that'll help them, get to the point where you can help them and they want your help to buy or sell property. That's really what the goal of this is all about, okay? And as I said before, it's not about promoting yourself to say, hey, come talk to me and I'll help you. You have to give them a reason to want to do that. And it has to be something more specific than you're a great person and you can help, right? It just seems too generic to say it that way. It's like, that friend, I'm sure you've all had one, that's like, hey, I've got a whiteboard down in my basement. I want to show you something I figured out. And, the Amway, the, Cincy, I don't know, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. You're going to get rich. You're going to get rich selling these phone cards. I don't know. So, guess that wasn't so funny. Didn't come out as good as I thought. So the 5 ads, let's see if you remember what those 5 ads are. You maybe remember what the 5 ads are?
MLS.
Single property.
The MLS is not one of the ads, but it is the first thing you're going to do. We'll talk about that first. So
Property website.
the single property website is a landing page and one of your ads. What's another one? Huh?
Just the website.
Eventbrite event is another one. Number 2, very good. The drone, yep.
3D.
The 3D Matterport
Video home.
and the video home show. Those are the 5. It's all in your book. They're all right there, but those are the 5 ads. Now, of course, you can do other ads. There is one ad that Instagram really brought this in because Instagram only likes videos and pictures, doesn't like links. So I started putting a gallery of images up on Instagram and then promoting that as part of what I'll show you, and that's worked really well too. So that could be a 6th ad that you do. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you how to do is we're going to go through this process. I'm going to show you how to create the landing pages. And then because you have to have the landing pages first. In a funnel, what a landing page is all about, just so that you understand, you're going to put a post out there on Facebook and Instagram. That post is going to have a hook and a call to action on it. which means people are going to want to engage with. That's how they engage and why they engage, and I'll explain how that works. Then they want more pictures, more information, whatever that may be, which is usually that next little step. I know in a funnel, we want to get them all the way to the end. We want them to call us for a showing. We want them to, to go all the way to the point where they're ready to take action that makes us, get a new client. But for them, they need to take baby steps, right? And so that's what a funnel is about. I want to see more pictures before I'm ready to make a decision to give you a call, right? Or to come to the open house. I want to see that 3D tour that you're advertising. I want to know more about the property, etc. So we're going to give them these little tiny baby steps. But you need to make sure that as you do that, you do it very strategically, okay? And I'll explain how that all works. So you're going to create these landing pages first. The two main landing pages are your Eventbrite event and your single property website. And then your videos are going to be your video home show and your 3D or your drone footage, and then your 3D tour is going to be the other link, that you put out there. Make sense? You got that? Okay. So before we do any of this, we got to put it up on the market. It's got to be. You can't advertise properties, as you know, without them being active on the market. Plus, your MLS page, your MLS listing, is actually going to be one of the very important landing pages, but not in your advertising. That's going to be the landing page for what links, what ads go out there that point back to the MLS. Not the single property site. It's all the listing alerts that all the agents send out. So whenever you put something up on the MLS, typically what happens, what really starts the engagement, are people that work with an agent, and that agent has set up a profile that says this person is looking for this kind of home in this area, this price point, whatever that that request is. And then as soon as something comes up on the market that fits that, it sends out an alert and says, hey, here's a house that you might be interested in, right? And then on searches on Zillow and other places like that, then they find that listing. So the most important thing you're going to do first is to put your listing up. Now, if you don't do your listing correctly, it can ruin the whole thing. And even before that, if the house looks bad, forget it already, right? I mean, you'll sell it, but you won't sell it for as much money, it won't sell as quickly. So as we talked about prior to even getting here, if your house isn't staged well, I guess the odor isn't until they get there, but it shouldn't smell, right? The curb appeal is super important, because the first thing everybody looks at when they get a listing alert or anything else is what? The outside of the house, right? And if that doesn't look good, it's going to ruin it. So you have to convince your clients that it's in their best interest, if they want to sell the house for the most money and to get it sold quickly, is to make sure the house is presentable. It looks really good. And then those pictures and that drone footage and the Matterport are, of course, going to look good because of that, right? So that's, I guess if we go all the way back, that's the first step there. And then you're going to order the pictures and the Matterport and the drone. One company should do it all. You shouldn't have to go to different companies. Have you found companies out here? I don't want to do it now because we don't have enough time, but afterwards, if you can share with each other companies that you know, because I know other people have asked that, photography and videography companies that do that, I'd appreciate that. For those of you that are shaking their heads, yes. So one of your responsibilities as a really good agent, that helps on that transaction to go smoothly, is to time everything just right. You've got to get your contractors in that are going to clean the house, that are going to do the curb appeal, your landscapers, the power wash the house, and all that kind of stuff. And then you're usually going to call your photographer as soon as you can get a good estimate of a date that's all going to be ready, because you don't want to wait several days after that. So you're kind of timing this. You're like a foreman or a general contractor in a sense, getting all these people in place so that all these things can get done in time. So you'll get all your pictures back and your drone footage and your Matterport back. Hopefully on a Sunday is usually when that happens, if I'm going to put it up, if I'm going to have an open house on a Saturday. Monday is when I want to put all these ads out. So the first thing I'm going to put out there is that MLS listing, and it will go live. Some people ask me, do I put coming soon? No. Please, I think the worst thing you can do is put out an incomplete listing that's live, or a coming soon listing. Because really what you're doing is all the people that are going to get those listing alerts, and all those people that, of course, will see your ads and stuff like that, you want that culmination of that grand opening to the market to be what intrigues them. People are out there looking right now, and what's the most important house for them right now? The newest ones, right? The ones that first come out. So make sure the pictures are great. I've even seen some agents actually put really bad pictures up there and then put a message, more pictures coming, or better pictures, or they put just one picture up there. You just ruined the whole thing, right? It's just, don't do that. Wait until you can have everything complete and everything up there. I kind of explain that in the book as well. So how do you put your pictures up there? Because that's the first thing everybody sees are the pictures. You know that, right? They do a search on whatever site that they're on, and they, put a criteria of location and price and things like that. But then as soon as they see the results, the first thing they look at are what? Pictures. That's the first thing they're going to see. If your pictures aren't good, you've lost them. And I want you to think, that's why we call this a funnel. The reason we call it a funnel is because there's these little steps that people are taking. As soon as they stop getting interested, they drop out. And we want to know where they're dropping out. And you know how many people drop out at the pictures? Like tons and tons. You just didn't do good enough. Your pictures weren't good, and your curb appeal weren't good, and that kind of stuff. The house wasn't staged. Oh, these rooms are way too small. It's staged. Oh, wow, look at what a big room that is. It's crazy, that happens. So make sure you get your houses ready to sell, and you get the right pictures and everything in place first. Then you get your pictures in. What order should your pictures be in? How many pictures you should put up there? How many you get like 40 to 50 pictures from your photographer, right? How many of you put them all up there? No way. That's the worst thing you can do, actually. A lot of my properties, or when I'm helping an agent, they'll put up 15 or 20 maybe 25 at the most. It depends on the property, of course. Every property is a little bit different. But I want you to think of it this way. You don't want any one of those pictures to be a distraction or to make them not want to take the next step in this funnel. They're not trying to get to know the entire house just from your pictures. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of agents make, is that, I'm trying to build this walkthrough and this whole view of this property, every little room, every nook and cranny, so that they want to put an offer on the house right now. That's not how people take those little steps along the journey of looking at properties. The first thing that you want to do is put pictures that will attract them to take the next step. I want to see more. I want to go to see the house. I want to look at the 3D tour, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense? So the first pictures that should be up there are pictures of the outside of the house, obviously. If you don't put pictures of the outside of the house, what do people think? The outside is ugly. Seriously, that's what they're going to think. And in many states, I don't know if it's that way here, the DRE doesn't even allow you to put out pictures. Their first picture can't be the inside of the house. I don't know if that's the case here, but it is in many states. So you put the outside of that picture first. So if the house isn't power washed, if the curb appeal isn't good, it can make a difference. Where do you get the best picture of the outside of any property? Does anyone know? About 15 to 20 feet in the air at an angle. It's a three-dimensional object, and especially the lighting should be good, right? Wouldn't you? How many of you get photographs of yourself, like headshots, and spend hours and hours, getting ready and making sure it's perfect, and you want the lighting to be just right, and then we take like this non-thought out picture of a property, sometimes looking straight on, so it's just two-dimensional, it's kind of down looking up. Come on. You think of your pictures of your property like doing a headshot. Get the best possible picture with the best lighting that you can. If you have a strategic partner relationship with your photographer, not with a company, like you should not have any single person that you work with that you don't eat lunch with once a month or something, that you're not talking to and collaborating with. How can we make this better? What do you think about this or that? Guess what happens when you do that with your strategic partners? They work harder for you. They go out of their way. When you need a rush job, they're going to be the ones that do it, as long as you treat them well. You're getting all my business. Every business that I get, I'm going to grow my business, believe it, and then you work with strategic partners. They will bend over backwards to help you out if you work with them that way. So don't think of your partners as affiliates anymore, as referrals. You're actually working with them, because without them, you can't do as good of a job. Does that make sense? Okay. So you make sure you got the best picture. A lot of times they'll go out of their way to take better pictures with better lighting and stuff like that, because of the relationship that you build with them. So you have maybe 2 or 3 outside pictures, no more than that, of the outside of the property, especially properties that are less attractive on the outside, like when I say especially with the drone, like your townhomes, your condos, where you're doing the whole unit, right? Those aerial pictures are so much better than trying to take a head-on picture of a condo unit or something like that, where you just see a door and a window or something, or someone else's door and window next to that. So get those first. You put those two in, or those two outside front of the house first. If you have a really nice yard and backyard and all that, those can go towards the end of it. So in that sense, I don't put them all up first, because people want to get inside pretty quickly. They just want to know the outside isn't ugly. Have you ever noticed that? I just want to make sure the outside looks good. Now I want to go and look through the inside of the house. Now, on the inside of the house, a lot of agents make the mistake of doing a walkthrough. How many of you do your walkthrough? You start with the foyer and you kind of walk them through the house. Guess what order you should put your inside of your pictures in? Best pictures first. And you go in that order. And as soon as there's any picture that's not a picture that you look at like, oh my gosh, I could put that in a magazine. Oh my gosh, I could put that in a magazine. If you can't say that about a picture, guess what that picture should do? Be gone. Just don't even have it in there, right? So no hallway bathroom pictures, right? No, how many of you, I want to show them the master closet because it's so awesome. And the master closet is full of clothes and shoes. It's so packed you can't even see it in there. If they're not going to clean it out, which hopefully you convince them that they need to do that, but they need to live there, but at least clean it out. You know, you have this great master closet. Then you don't put that picture in there. They've got an empty basement and it's just full of all their storage. Don't take that picture. You know, let them know that there's a basement, unfinished basement, but don't take the picture of that. Okay? Make sense? So only put in those best pictures. We call that the inverted triangle. So when I didn't know what I wanted to do for a living, so I went to 4 different tracks of school and all that. I took this journalism class that talked about journalistic writing, and it was really fascinating to me. It was really good for marketing. Is what it taught us is that when people write a novel, write a book, they usually write to a climax, right? Right to this. You get in a joke and you get the punchline after the joke, right? So your triangle starts here, and all the really good information comes as you continue to read. When you do journalism writing or even advertising, you flip that upside down. You give them the most important information first. And then if they decide they want to read a little bit more, they can, but they still got the most important information first. It's like if you go to CNN or Fox or any of those, like, you know, those websites, they have a picture that catches your attention, right? Then they have a headline, and they have a little excerpt. And if all you read was that, you pretty much got all the best information right there. Does that make sense? That's kind of what your advertising should do. It should give them everything that is the most important right from the beginning, and in the order, like from the most important stuff to the least important stuff. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to put your pictures in that order. Then you write your description, right, of that property. I love agent descriptions. All caps and all superlatives, you know. You want to be careful. Like, let the pictures tell how beautiful the home is. You don't have to spend all this writing talking about how beautiful the home is and how it's going to sell quickly and how, you know, wonderful and awesome and, you know, all that kind of stuff is. Be very specific about what features the house has. I like to start with the features that are distinct from most other homes. Like if it's next to a golf course or a lake or has a theater room or a 4-car garage, RV parking, anything that's quite unique about that property that most don't have is where I'll start. Then I'll go into the things that people want to see or hear about most. See, or I guess hear about in this sense. And what are the most or the biggest selling points of most properties? Kitchen is number 1, and then master suite number 2, and then entertainment spaces are kind of number 3, and then so on from there. And that's kind of the order that I'll put that in. So if they only read the first line, hopefully they get interested enough, because I'm just trying to get them to do what? What's my goal with this advertising? To come to the open house, to call their agent to get a showing, you know, whatever the next step is. I don't care that they look at every single picture in the house. I don't care if they go through every video or every drone footage. All I want them to do is feel that this is enough to get them excited to take whatever the next step would be that's good for them. If the next step that's good for them is to call their agent and say, I want to come see this house, that's great, because that's the end goal of what I'm trying to get. Make sense? Okay, so you have to create your MLS listing first. Yes, it does go live. It's not a, you know, when I teach you next week the grand open house, you can put, if you want, and I've actually gone away from this, no showings until the open house because it pisses so many people off on that. But you will still get a lot of people coming to the open house during that time period, which is what you want, during that 2-hour time period. Okay, so the 5 ads, as we mentioned before, are 3 of them are web links, and 2 of them are videos. Oh, and then, first I got to show you how to do the landing pages. So the first landing page, it's not in any order. One of the landing page is your single property website. So let me show you how to do that. Pull this up. Now, if you don't have a way, let's go here. Here we go. To create a single property website, you don't have a tool to do that. Total Expert is part of this Captivate program and provided to you by your Intercap loan officer. It's free to you. It does not obligate you to anything. It doesn't give anybody else access to your people or your contacts. Take advantage of it. It's normally, I think, $100 a month. If you sign up as an agent, $99 a month is what the price is. But you can use this to create single property websites. It also has other features like managing your contacts and stuff like that. If you want to be part of a personal coaching group after this, basically this is a kind of a lecture of all these classes, and then I'll take 10 people from each group that I teach. I only do 10 because it's a lot of work, but I take 10, and then we go through all these things, and we put your goals and basically help you put all your technologies together, then put your goals in place, and then put you into those routines and accountability to actually implement these things. It's like the difference between lecture and lab, basically. Okay, so we'll go through this in more detail here, or of course you can use the book and the links that are in there to actually follow through and figure it out on your own. Yes?
When they do photos and they send you like a single property website with the photos, is it okay to use those?
Sure. Let me tell you what a single property website needs to do, and then yes, you can definitely use that. So a single property website, here, let me show you what the actual site looks like before we go in there. This is what a single property website looks like. It has first starts with an outside picture, but it has really big pictures. I don't know what it is about the MLS, but they give you these little tiny pictures, and if you try to blow them up, because they downsample them, they're blurry or pixelated a little bit. So you want to make sure that people can flip through your pictures and see them at this high resolution, large view of it. Right? Most people have bigger screens now, even if they're on their phone. You still want to have nice big pictures if possible. So I like it so it takes up the whole top of the single property website. And then as you scroll down, it's easy to get to the virtual tour and the video tour, and then they can contact you. What don't you see on this page?
Branding name, other property.
No, your branding needs to be on there, and I'll explain how that goes on there. But what don't they see? What did someone
Other
say?
properties.
Other properties. It's called a squeeze page or a landing page because they're not distracted to go somewhere else. Remember, we're funneling people, so we want them to go from the ad to the landing page to get more pictures and information. We don't want them to say, oh, here's another house. Oh, do you think people are like, squirrels with dogs and squirrels with, properties? Yeah, everybody is. So that's what ends up happening. So a good landing page from an advertisement funnel has a place for them to go to get more information and to go really deep into that without getting distracted to go elsewhere. Does that make sense? So that's what your single property website needs to do. And when you present this to your seller and you say you're going to get your own page for your for your home that's going to have its own unique address, and it's going to be specific without any other properties there for sale in the advertising that I do, they're impressed with that, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So if your company does that, then great. Okay, then you can use that. What you're not seeing, which I'll show you in just a second, is this. Since this is a sample, you'll have your picture with your logo and information that makes it compliant. Plus, of course, they're going to want to contact you. So get in touch. Who are they going to contact, or come see the property? You're going to want them to contact you. Okay, but that's the purpose of your landing page.
Did you put the open house information on there?
Yes, you have the open house information on there too. So let me show you how that works here. So when you log into Total Expert, I don't know if anyone's tried to do this yet, you go into, on the left here where it says Web Marketing and Single Property Sites. And this is where you create a single property website. And then you hit up here, Create. And you can see all your other property websites that you've created. The nice thing about this is that they stay out there. You can put that it's been closed, or not closed, it's been sold. Sorry, thanks. And then, but it still stays out there, and it can be used as examples and stuff like that. So if you hit create, you're going to get a page like this. Now the first section of this is to try to take your MLS listing and just pull that down into this, and it will work. There's a couple of problems though. One is that your listing has to be live for 48 hours before it's going to propagate to these other sites out there. The MLS still wants that exclusivity, which is totally fine, but you don't have time to wait for it. So I would not wait until that gets propagated. You can create your own website out of the MLS, out of the pictures and that information without having to have it download from the MLS. And if your listing is live, then you're still compliant. Make sense? So you make sure that that listing is live, because there's a regulation that you can't advertise your properties without them being live on.
Question, do you need to have an MLS number on that property website?
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to?
No, you don't have to. Yeah, all that's going to do here, if you put an MLS number, is it's going to try to find it and say, oh, here it is. You hit it, and then it'll literally take the pictures and all the information, build the site within 10, 15 seconds. So it's pretty cool. But like I said, number one problem with that, it won't even show up for you to do that for 48 hours after it goes live. And you're going to want to advertise. So the timing of this is very important. This isn't just about putting an ad out. I hope you can follow me when I do this. Everything happens very specifically, right? There's a timing to all this. And if you don't follow all the steps, it won't work as well. So please believe me when I say that if you just do a little bit of this, and I have a lot of agents that say, oh, that's a good idea. They try this or that. Then they come back to me like, hey, it didn't work. And like, well, tell me what you did. And I said, well, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You didn't, and they're like, oh, I didn't think that was important, or I didn't think that was needed or necessary. Oh, my home was up for sale for 3 weeks and then I advertised. Well, yeah, you just lost that momentum for the grand opening. Just things like that. So please believe me, if you follow the formula and you follow the steps and you do the timing right, it works. If you don't, it's like a car. If you have an engine and the engine's awesome and it works great, I mean, if you know much about engines, but the timing belt, you know what the timing belt is? It kind of makes sure that the pistons fire when they're supposed to, right? If it's not timed right, what happens to that car? It doesn't run, right? Or it doesn't run well at all. So it's the timing is a big part of that. Make sense? Okay, so on this, the only thing you need to learn or you need to remember about this first page is don't use the Cavallo template. It's the worst possible template ever, and it's the first one that shows up. It's like you're like, if I were to see this, I'm like, I'm not going to put this site up. It's so ugly. So modern or contemporary are the best ones out there, and they're awesome. So you choose modern as the template, and then you have agent partners and lender partners. You need to hit add for you. It has a drop down because you can put multiple people in there. But you want to put you in there because that's what makes it compliant. That'll put your picture, your broker logo, and your contact information and all those things. Plus, of course, you want people to see you there as the agent to contact, about the property. And then if you put your lender partner there, it's not about promoting the lender, the intercap lender that's doing this. Even that's a nice thing to do since they provided the tool. But what it's about is if the person has questions about getting a loan for that house and how much it's going to cost and all that kind of stuff, they can ask questions about that. So that's what that does. So you make sure you hit the add button on this, okay? Then you're going to come down to your customize or your pencil icon, okay? This is where you can build it yourself. So nothing you can see, everything's blank here. So I don't have any information that would have been pulled down from the MLS because it's not active, or it's active, but it's not live for me to pull down yet from here. So all you're going to do is, it's in the book. I don't want to go through it in too much detail, and I'm also creating a video that kind of gives you step-by-step guide to that. We had one that I had someone else create, but I'm going to redo it. A few things that I want to change on it. So the meta description, not so important and stuff. I'll go through that then. But one thing to remember, on your banner, you can put the open house coming soon, right? Or open house weekend, I'm sorry, is what it says. That's, if you do this correctly, you're going to, time it correctly, I should say. Let me put this here. If you time it all correctly, then it should be what you're doing here for an open house coming up, right? Why is advertising for your open house so important? Anyone have any idea if I mentioned this yet? When you advertise and do a funnel, and I'm going to talk about that 2, 5, 15-second rule, the hook and call to action, you're creating an urgency for a very specific event. The event is what? The open house. If you just make it an open-ended, hey, check out this house, right? There's no urgency to that. It's like, oh, I guess I'll call my agent or something like that. You're trying to give them a reason to take action, and that's what makes these advertisements work. So advertising towards the open house, that's why we call it a grand opening. Because honestly, if you do it right, when should a house sell?
Right away.
Well, what's right away mean? After the open house. That's when an open house should sell. If you do this right, if you do the advertisement, your house looks great, you do the right advertisement, then you have an open house, and you don't accept offers until the day after the open house, which you tell all the people that want to look at it before then, because they get all nuts about it, because they see all the good advertising you did and how great the house looked, and they want to get in there right away. Well, my client's ready to make an offer right now. Great. We're looking at offers after the open house. Well, they're not going to wait that long. Well, yeah, why are they saying that?
Because they don't want the competition.
Because they're afraid of the competition, which is going to do what? Drive up price and drive up urgency. Well, sorry, but that's what we're doing, right? And I mean, you're up to your clients, but I always tell my clients, if that client is acting like this, there's a reason. So don't take it. Don't take this low ball offer. Just wait, right? It always works. It does if you do it right. So you're gonna put, or that's the urgency that's created. So this should be an open house weekend when you create this, and then you don't have to worry about, in that there on the customize. Okay, so page title, just give it the name. You could say like, townhome in Cherry Creek, Colorado, or something like that. Just any title that you want to put up there is fine. Social media preview, select image. You're going to want to put the very best image of your home, probably the outside of the home on your single property website. This is when you copy the link, which you're going to do, and I'll show you in a minute how to do that, from the single property website and put it into social media, into your Facebook and you can't do that in Instagram, but your Facebook post. It'll take that image that you put here as the main image that it shows. Make sense? And usually you want to do the outside of the property. And then you're going to put information about the property. If it got pulled from the MLS, all this would be populated. It's not. But you can pull up your MLS and then copy and paste it. You got the square footage information, the description, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, all that kind of stuff. And you can put that in there. Then here is where you put your video link and your virtual tour link. So what's your video link? The drone footage, okay? And your virtual tour link, the Matterport, the 3D tour. Now, about your video link. On social media, you're not going to put a link to a video. You're going to actually upload the video itself to social media. I'll show you that in just a few minutes as we go through that. So you do not put a YouTube link there. However, on this, and even on the MLS, if you can put your virtual tour links and your video links, do not take the link that your photographer, videographer sent you that's on their YouTube channel or their Vimeo account. Download the video, upload it to your YouTube channel, and then copy that link and share that link here. Why should you do that?
Leads them to your page.
Exactly. And it makes your Google searches. So do anybody know who owns YouTube? Google does. So when they do a Google search for you, which a lot of people do, your videos are actually going to help on those search results. Yes?
Is it possible to take the Zillow away and give it to us, or does it have to stay on Zillow, the 3D tours?
What do you mean take it away?
Because they have the Zillow 3D tour.
Yeah, their own thing with their own little
Is
camera
it
thing.
possible to take that, download, and then put on mine, or do I have to?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look at that to see if that. I don't like the Zillow 3D tour because it's fisheye and it doesn't use the same type of equipment. Basically, you're using your phone and you're just doing these passes on your phone. It's like, with your phone that now does the pan type of picture. It's kind of like doing it that way. Whereas
they do if you play with their toy.
Yeah.
Put you at the top of their SEO. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check on that. So, yeah, and it is a pretty cool technology. I like the Matterport, even though it might fade to something like this. But have you ever seen a Matterport camera? It's about this big. It has 9 lenses. And they're high-resolution lenses, 3 up, 3 down, 3 that do straight across. And they do a 360 scan every 5 to 8 feet through the whole property. You get a much better walkthrough of a property with that than you do with on the Zillow one.
Do you know what the view rate is on the Matterport versus Zillow 3D?
I don't offhand. Yeah,
Okay.
that's something I'll look into.
I
Yeah,
think it's only 6 to 8 seconds on Zillow, but I'm not sure if Matterport is more.
yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, so you're going to put that video link in the virtual tour. On the address mapping, this is super important. Make sure you go to maps.google.com. Take your address of your property and go in there and make sure that it finds or can put a pin to that specific address and it's correct. Because it's going to show the address, or it's going to show the map here where that location is. Sometimes there are addresses that it's a little off. You've ever noticed that? Whatever the reason may be. So make sure you're getting a really good GPS location of that address, and then put it in there. Sometimes your client will even tell you, here's the address. Have you ever done that with title and then it's a different address? So you want to make sure you got the correct address that's registered. Then you're going to add all your pictures. So you click add picture or add image, and then you can upload the media. You can even use external images. I haven't tried this yet, but you put the URL of each one. I think that would take a lot of time. So I like just to upload the pictures. These are the pictures that you're going to get from your photographer. Now, here's the key to this. Your photographer probably will give you 2 to 3 different resolutions. They've done that before. You have your print resolution, your web, and your social media. Or sometimes it's just print and web, You're going to want to use the lower web one than the print, but you don't want it to be so low, and most photographers wouldn't do this anyway, but once it's uploaded to different sites like the MLS, they really shrink it down in terms of its resolution. So you're looking for pictures, and you can tell your photographer this, so tell them this, between 1 and 5 megabytes per picture. If it's more than 5 megabytes, it won't upload to this particular tool, unfortunately. I wish they would take any size and then downsample it, to still a high resolution, but not, so that you had to do it yourself. But most of you probably don't know how to do that. There's different sites you can use to take pictures and bring down the resolution. And so you may have to do that. Cloud Convert is one that is really good. It's good for video. That's what I use it for. But if you can tell your photographer, I want my pictures, they have to be under 5 megabytes, but 1 to 5 is the sweet spot. If it's under 1 megabyte, sometimes 5 to 800 kilobytes are all right. But anything lower than that, it's going to take that big picture and it's not going to look so sharp and clear. Okay? So do you know the difference between kilobytes and megabytes? Does that make sense? There's 1,080 kilobytes to every megabyte, 1,080 megabytes to every gigabyte, etc. And you just want to make sure that your image is around that 1 to 5 megabytes. Okay? And then you upload your pictures. Once you upload your pictures to this gallery, you can move them around, wherever you want. It does ask about social sharing and things like this. Just follow the video and the instructions in the book, and you should be able to create this pretty easily without too many problems. If you have any problems, let me know. Let your lender know, and we can help you figure it out. Okay. So that's one of your landing pages. Okay. Any questions about this landing page? No. Okay. You need to create that next in your workflow and your process. Now, of course, once you've done this a lot of times and you figured it out and you know how it gets done, then you train your marketing coordinator that you're going to hire, because you're going to get so busy going out there getting more deals, and you're going to be helping people coordinate their home getting ready to sell, and all the contractors that come in. You can have someone else do this for you, which is nice. But I'm telling you, and we've even had companies come to us and ask how maybe they could form an offering out of this, and we found that you really can't, and I'll explain why that is as you go through. It's more of a personal effort, and your voice is in there as well, who you tag when I show you how to put that up there. So it's something you got to figure out how to do, and then you can have a coordinator help you to do it. Okay. So the next landing page is Eventbrite. How many of you have heard of Eventbrite before? Good. How much does Eventbrite cost? 0. And if you're inviting them to a free event, how much does it cost? 0, right? The way they make their money is if an event collects money, they'll even collect that and they'll take a portion of it. So that's how they do it. That's why they're in business. But for those that are doing free events like open houses, then you don't have to pay for it, which is really great. What's the advantage of having an Eventbrite event?
Reminders.
Yeah, reminders is a really big part of it. And it's an event platform. It's made for events. Is your open house an event? Yes. And what it does for people that sign up for it is that it sends them the reminders with GPS coordinates and all sorts of really cool things that you want them to do. And I don't know if you know this, but Eventbrite it works with Facebook events. Did you know that? And when you create an Eventbrite event, it will tie it into a Facebook event, and you will actually promote or boost the two together. So they become one, in a sense. So they'll be on Facebook as a Facebook event and as an Eventbrite event, which is really cool. Okay? So all you do on your your Eventbrite event is you're going to put in the title, description. You can put pictures. So you put your best picture of whatever. It doesn't matter if it's inside or outside the house. It's more of a banner picture. And then you can add video and other pictures on there. I like to put at least, not a whole bunch, because it's a funnel. I don't want to, in any of my even landing pages necessarily. Don't put everything. I want them to take whatever the next step is, right? So on this particular landing page, what's my goal here is to get them there at the open house. So I give them pictures, so about 4 or 5. Maybe I put in the video home show or maybe the drone footage. You can put that in there. You can put your description, but it's mostly about the open house, getting them at the open house. And then if they register for the open house here, so anyone can come to an open house, so why should they register?
You gotta do something for them.
Cookies? No, everyone gets cookies when they come. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you want their info. They don't want to give their info. They have to have a reason for them to do this. And the reason for them to do it, and the way I promote it as a call to action, which we're going to talk about next, is RSVP for a VIP showing before the open house. Yeah, you get that, and then they register. I have, we've had people, like 15 to 20 people actually register to come so they can come in 30 minutes before the open house. And people like to do that. So we're giving them a VIP showing, and that's the call to action. So that's what I'm going to show you next. Yes?
So it's not a private showing, but you just open the door early for them.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, yep, that's the way it is. Private to them until they see the other people. We had one time where we had like 25 or so odd people show up, and one of them asked, like, "Hey, I thought this was a VIP tour." It is. You're all VIPs, But they were still fine with that. But we had a lot of people at that open house, so But that's why they do it. Okay.
Is there a reason that you're taking them to a whole nother site instead of having them RSVP on the Facebook event?
Well, actually, the way the Facebook event and the Eventbrite work, when you see it, it's totally integrated.
No,
They
I'm
could
saying
say,
they can click get tickets, but it's taking them to a whole third-party site instead of keeping them on Facebook.
it does, yeah. The reason for it that I've seen that's been valuable is that Facebook Events does a good job. Eventbrite does an amazing job when it comes to the event. So having them go there, fill out the information. Now I've got their information in Eventbrite. Like they register for it. I can send back messages to them. It has a lot more features than you're going to get from Facebook Events. So at least that's why we do it. You may find that you don't want to do it that way.
I just was curious if does Eventbrite post those events publicly?
They do. Yep, and you can even advertise. So on the more expensive properties that I help with, I'll actually pay for advertising on Eventbrite to get out there as well.
Okay.
So it goes out on calendars, event calendars for certain areas, and people do look for open houses. Like you can put hashtags on here, and they'll look for open houses that are in a certain area. Do you think people do that? Yeah, and they'll see it show up with Eventbrite, and they'll go to that too. So it's worked really well this way, and it really gives the best of both Eventbrite and the best of Facebook events by having the two be integrated. So that's why we do that there. Okay? So I don't have time to go through any more of the specifics of how to set this up. It is pretty intuitive, at least I feel like it is. But again, if you go through the book, I try to put some, a guide, how-to step guide on how to do it. And then I'll create another video to kind of go through it more specifically. Okay? Like I said with anything else, you've done it once or twice. The first time you're like, what's this? Or how do I get to that? Or whatever. And then as you've done it a few times, you're like, okay, I got it. Okay? So those are your two landing pages. So now that you have the landing pages done, now it's time to actually start advertising. So you're going to put all your ads up on Facebook. Well, let me put it this way. You're going to put posts up first. You know what a post is, right? Mm-hmm. A post is basically just posting something on these social media platforms. So you're going to put the post up first, and then you're going to convert it into an ad by boosting it. Or if you know how, Ad Manager is better, but we're not going to go into that because you'd all walk out on me if I try to show you how to do Ad Manager. But on the Boost, it works just great. So you're going to do your 5 ads, right? So what are the 5 ads again? Let's see if you remember. Single property website, Eventbrite, Facebook event, yep. The drone footage, right? 3D tour, and the video home show. Now the video home show, I'm going to show you how to do that in 2 classes. So next week's class is the Grand Open House, and then we have the Community Go-To Agent. That class lasts longer. I'm going to see if I can drill it down to 2 hours. In other states, it's C certified, so it's a 3-hour class. Now the reason it takes that long, believe it or not, it goes by fast. I've never had anybody walk out on me that I know of, but is I actually teach you in that class how to film, edit, and publish a video. right there in the class. You should not have to hire someone else to do it. You've got an amazing video, a camera on your phone. I'll teach you how to use a lav mic and connect it directly to your phone, like mine is connected to my phone. I don't know if you knew that. So you can connect it directly to your phone, and you can do video and edit and publish it yourself, and it's not hard to do at all. Okay? So I'm going to teach you how to do that, and I'll show you how to do the video home show and how that works. Okay? So we'll go into that a little bit later. But you're going to put these 5 ads up there, and you're going to advertise for 5 days. Now, it's not 5 and 5 like there's something about that. You're not going to do like 1 ad a day for 5 days. They all go up the same day, and they go for 5 days. You just got that. She's like, oh, I just figured that. Yeah. Sorry. The 5 and 5 confuses people. Think, oh, I do 1 ad day 1 and 1 ad day 2. No. All 5 ads go for 5 days. Now, the reason we have 5 ads instead of 1 ad, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen advertisers do is they put this 1 ad out. And even though that ad might be, not duplicated, but like someone might see the ad more than one time, it's the same ad. So when you have 5 ads, it helps the algorithm, the Facebook and Instagram algorithm, work better in your favor. So if someone shows a little bit of interest on 1 ad, but they don't click on it or don't do anything with that, what's most likely going to happen because of the Facebook algorithm and the Instagram algorithm? They're more likely to see the next one and the next one. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 of those before they actually decide to click on it. So the repetition isn't the same exact ad. It's seeing a different kind of version of that with a different hook and a different call to action, maybe a different picture that's there. Got it? Okay, so let's go through this 2, 5, 15-second rule and the hook and the call to action that go on your posts that you are going to advertise. You ready for that? Anybody need to take a breather? You got to this point? Okay, so you probably heard of a hook and call to action, right? Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit first. What's a hook? How would you define a hook? If anybody read the book, maybe you can remember it.
Captures their attention.
It's not just catches their attention, but there's something more specific about it than that. Who said it? What's in it for me? It's what's in it for me. As me as an individual, I'm looking at it. Why should I care? What's in it for me? What am I going to get out of that? That's the best way to look at it. If you can't give them a what's in it for me quickly, you've lost them. So that's why we have what we call this 2, 5, 15-second rule. The 2-second rule is that if you can't capture their attention within 2 seconds, it doesn't matter what else you've done. They're gone. How fast do you scroll through your wall? If you're driving down the road and you see a billboard, how much time do you have? If you're going to watch a commercial before you go back and look at your phone, how much time do you give any of that? 2 seconds. What can possibly catch your attention in 2 seconds?
Picture.
Media, right? Picture or video. Now, if the picture or video shows your beautiful face, and that's not what they're going after unless they're on a dating app or something, right? You've lost them. If your first picture image is, like a video of, I love to see these logos that kind of do these really cool things and then come together, right? You've lost them. They're gone, right? If you're trying to attract people that want to buy and sell property and you are the real estate agent that you want to attract them, with, what's the best 2-second image that you can give them? A beautiful home. Inside, outside, doesn't matter. A beautiful home is what's going to catch their attention. So every single ad that you do should have a picture of a beautiful home or a video that starts with a beautiful home before it's of you or anything else, okay? Unless it's about something different. Maybe you do community videos. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But typically, you got 2 seconds. So if you can't imagine someone saying, wow, I want to slow down and take a look at this, then you've lost them, okay? That's the 2-second rule. The 5-second rule is for the call to is for the hook. What's in it for me? If you can't give them within 5 seconds why they should pay attention to this for them personally, they're gone. 5 seconds is all you got. That's why this platform works so well when you advertise, because then you can specify who you want to see this. If they're not shopping for a home, are they going to stop and look at a home? Probably not. Maybe they could. We all like to look at beautiful homes, so we might stop and do that. But the people that you're trying to attract that's going to get you to that finish line of a sold property, right, or your next client, most likely a lot of that is going to happen, at least in the more near future by someone that's actually engaged in buying or selling properties right now. Now, that doesn't mean You don't want other people that are part of your SOI to start seeing this, because when they see all these great ads out there and they engage with them and they think it's wonderful that you're putting them out there, guess what happens when they're ready to buy or sell? They're thinking of you. So that's another benefit of doing this. So you've got that 5 seconds to get the hook. What's in it for me? So what does that mean? You can't put your entire description and all 15, 20 different things that are good about that house. That's the next biggest mistake a lot of agents make when they put their ads out. They write a paragraph of all the wonderful reasons. They take the whole description with all the superlatives in all caps sometimes of that description of that property, and then nobody's going to read all that. Facebook even truncates it because it doesn't want to put all that there, right? So you should, within one sentence, have a good hook. And that hook can be different for every single one of your ads. That's what makes this work so well. I put a different hook for each one of my ads. Like one hook might be the gourmet kitchen. The other hook might be that it's next to a golf course. The other hook might be that it has hardwood floors. The other hook might be, you see what I'm saying? So even though it's the same property, it's got a little bit different pictures and a little bit different of a hook that might attract different people for different reasons. Make sense? Okay. So you have 5 of them. And again, while they're kind of, if they look at one like, oh, that's kind of cool, but they don't do anything about it, the fact that they even took 3 seconds, did you know that's how long Facebook will take, or Instagram? If you look at a video for 3 seconds, it registers that. It even lets you know in your stats if they looked at it for at least 3 seconds. It's looking at that as a reason for someone to be possibly interested in what you have to offer. Okay? The last piece of this is the call to action. You have 15 seconds to get people to do something about what your ad is. If they don't know how to do it, if there's not a phone number for them to call and they want to call, if there's not more pictures to look at and they can't click and get more pictures, right? Then guess what happens? They're gone. You just lost them. All that effort and all that time and effort you put into it and the money went for nothing, at least with that particular person, because they didn't know how to react to it, right? How many of you have seen something like an advertisement, like, oh yeah, I got to remember that. Yeah, and we don't remember it. We don't really follow through with it. So that's what the 2, 5, 15-second rule represents, using a hook and call to action. Make sense? Okay, so now let's put it into action as far as our ads go. So we're going to do 2 different types of posts on Facebook, and only one type of post, well, I guess there's 2, on Instagram. Instagram does not like links until you promote them. So you're going to actually promote it and then put a link in to a landing page, but it's mostly going to be picture and video, or only picture and video that you're going to interact with there. But on Facebook, you can do links as well. So you have 3 of your ads are going to be URL links, web links, and 2 of your ads are going to be video. So which one are web links?
Landing page.
Single property website, right? The 3D tour and the Eventbrite event. The drone tour is video, and so is the video home show. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. There is a 6th one that we've been doing that works great, especially with Instagram, is a gallery, like a 12 to 15 image gallery at the most of images of that property, that you can put up there. We found that that's been working really well too, so we'll add that as an ad as well. So that could be a 6th one. Okay.
You don't do the gallery carousel thing on Facebook?
I don't. I haven't really liked that so much. You could do it. I mean, I haven't seen a difference so much on it, but you could do that. But if you actually put 10 or 12 pictures up there, it will automatically put a bigger picture and then these smaller ones around it. Kind of creates that kind of gallery look. And then when you click on it, what I want them to do is click on it and go where?
To the landing page.
To the landing page that I specified, not to another gallery page that they created. So I want them to go to that. What are my 2 main landing pages? Single property website and the Eventbrite. Okay, so they can take that next step. So now let me show you how that all kind of comes together. Am I overwhelming anybody yet? Good. It's all right? We're doing all right? Oh, good. I always feel so bad because I feel like for a lot of people this is a lot. So remember I said that you cannot advertise unless you're on your business page. You just can't. You don't even have the option to. You can share that ad or that post after you put it up there onto your personal page if you want to do that. So don't feel like you can't. You don't post it separately. You just hit share and then you share it on your personal page. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So not hard to do that. So when you click on your post here, you've all done a post before. Oops, let me refresh this. So this is from the last class. It's teaching them the same thing. Okay, So when I click post on here, I can take as a, one of my ads, of course, is going to be that single property website. So I can put that in there. Oops. As a post, just by copying and pasting. Look at that. I just copied that URL link and I put it into my post. It automatically brought in the picture. Remember that picture that we specified as the social media picture? So that's what it brought in, and it makes this whole thing clickable. So now my post, including this right here, Vineyard, Utah Home for Sale, that's the title that I put on that page. Remember the title that you could put on there? All shows up right there in just an instant. Isn't that cool? And then I can take this link up here, which is not cool, and I can delete it. You don't need to keep it there. Got it? You do that after it loads. Then, did you know you could do that? You didn't know? Yeah, you can delete it after that. Okay? Because who wants to see the big long URL? Nobody does. Especially if you're doing a tracker or something. It just becomes really, really long. Okay, now I'm going to type in my hook. Where to go? Did I lose it? Oh, there it is. Clicked on something. I can put in my hook, my call to action, and then I'm going to put in hashtags. I'm going to talk about all this, don't worry. I can hashtag. I didn't know I could do that. I'm going to put in my hashtags, and I'm going to put in my tags, my people tags, okay, which I'll show you in just a second. But those are the 4 things you're going to put in there. So as far as a call or a hook goes, I want this to be a one sentence, something someone can read and digest within 5 seconds. So it can't be, I know you're going to be tempted. This house has 50 things about it that are so awesome. I want you to pick 1 or 2, maybe 3. It just has to be one quick sentence. So in this one, it may be, I might put 6-bed, 4-bath, vineyard, Craftsman home in Vineyard next to Sleepy Ridge Golf Course. Okay, now there's lots of things about this house that are really cool, right? And I'm tempted to put all those great things about the house. But what I did is, one is I wanted to take this picture, it's the outside of the front of that house, and then reinforce the Craftsman home, right? And I might even put newer or something like that. Newer Craftsman home or something along those lines. Oops. In Vineyard, next to Sleepy Ridge Golf Course. So what it's going to attract are people that are, looking in Vineyard, but it already is going to know this, and I'll show you how that happens. But it's a 6-bedroom, 4-bath next to Sleepy Ridge Golf Course. Okay, does that sound attractive? If someone's kind of looking through and it shows up on their wall, they're like, hey, I want more information. I don't have to give them everything they need or want to know about the property. What do I want them to do? Click. I want them to click. So this is a reason to say, oh, I want to see that. Now, the hook is the reason that they want to do it. What they do is the call to action. So on the call to action, I have to be very specific, because they might not know that I can click on the picture, whatever. So I click for more pictures and a 3D tour. Okay, think people would want to see that, right? Click for more pictures and a 3D tour. And then I might even put a second call to action. And a lot of times I'll put 2 in there, just depending on what they might want to do. And then I put here RSVP for a VIP showing of the VIP showing before the open house on Saturday. And then I put the link to what? Eventbrite event, right? So now what I've done with this is 6-bedroom, 4-bath, newer Craftsman home. So it's a newer home. It's Craftsman, and it's popular for a lot of people want the Craftsman home next to a golf course. Now, is it just people that like to golf that want to live next to a golf course? No. Who else likes to live next to golf courses?
People like green grass.
Green grass, good views, good manicured. It usually means a higher end area, right? Oh yeah. So don't think that I'm just putting that there just for golfers. That's not just for golfers. A lot of people like to live in a place where they would have a golf course, right?
What are your thoughts on those that
put a lot of emojis on there as part of their hook. Because I see a lot of posts that, they put a bathtub or a bed or little sirens or stuff like that.
The only thing I can say for sure, because I'm a guy that doesn't care about that stuff, but what I can say is if they can't understand it and digest it within 5 seconds, you've lost them. If you put a whole bunch of emojis there, you've already lost me, right? So I'm not saying it's good or bad, because some other people, they talk with emojis. I mean, I've seen kids text each other and all they use is emojis. I don't even know what it means. So I'm not saying it could be. But what I do know is, I think scientific, at least for now, is that 5 seconds is all you got. If you can catch their attention and give them what's in it for me in 5 seconds, you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the demographic is usually older, so I would not use all the emojis, but you guys can decide on that. And then I've got my hook, I got my call to action, and then I'm going to put in my hashtags. What are hashtags? Anyone know what a hashtag is?
Information.
Basically, it's a way for the web to index interests. That's really all it is. And what it does is it creates kind of a category based on like open house, for example, right? Look at this when I hit open house, or when I put in open house. 5.1 million posts currently on Facebook that say open house, right? You want that kind of reach and engage. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, these are all over the world, I'm sure, but what it means is that this is something that interests people a lot, right? And so there's a lot of those posts that are out there. And by putting good hashtags will help you to actually get more reach and help you get that out there more, and more people will see it. How many hashtags should you have on a post? Anyone know?
Depends on your platform.
Enough to generalize it and then specify it.
That could be good. I've heard, and I follow, 7 to 10 in there. If it's more than that, it's too much. If it's less than that, it's probably not doing as much good as it could. But usually I have a general of 7 to 10. I do like to be general and then specific. I do that. So open house is general. Specific is open house in Vineyard, Utah. Things like that. Or open house Utah, or something along those lines. And you can do, when you start that, like you put open house, you can see what others have done and what kind of, following, I guess how many posts have been put out there like that. Okay, make sense? Okay, and then once I do that, I tag the people that are part of this house that I want them to see this ad. When you tag someone, it actually goes on their wall. Did you know that? Or they see it. Now, it used to be where it just went on their wall and other, like they posted it, but it doesn't anymore unless they engage with it. So it's possible that their friends, family, others in their SOI, their reach, network reach, will see it if they engage with it, But you need to tag them for that to happen. Who should you tag on your posts for your listings? Number one, the sellers. So that means when you meet with your sellers, what should you be doing with your sellers? I'm going to put all these ads out there, and I want you to be able to share them. Do they want to do that? Yeah. And you're going to be able to do that if I can tag you on them, so we need to be friends. So this is another way that you gain that. So not only are you going to be friends on Facebook and Instagram, but on Facebook, they're going to like your Facebook business page, and you send them that invitation to like your Facebook business page. So you want to grow that, because when you start posting stuff out there in the future, and they'll remember it the next time they sell a property, and you want them to think of you. So you're going to tag them. Who else should you tag on this?
The agents doing open house.
Okay. Well, hopefully if it's your house, you're doing it. You're listing. If you bring other agents, great. But please, we'll talk about this next week. If you're a listing agent and you think you shouldn't have to be there because you listed it and you're just going to put other agents in there, you've totally lost out on the opportunity, not just for you, not because you're trying to get buyers, but because you're hosting it. You're the master host of this grand open house. We'll talk about that more next week. But yeah, I would say instead of putting agents on there, put your brokerage on there. How many of you, when you go to your broker sales meetings, if you have a listing, hand out your flyers for your listing? You want your other agents to know about it. This is a good way to do that virtually, right? Let them know that you got to listen. If you do this often enough, other agents are going to love your open houses. Right now, most agents don't like open houses. I'm not going to take my client to an open house and have some other agent pounce on my clients, and I could just show it personally, through a private session. But when your open houses have lots of people there, it creates urgency, and the houses look great. Do you think agents with their buyers want that for their buyers? Yes, they do, if you do it right. You should be getting lots of agents coming with their clients if you do it right. If no agents go to your open house, it's because you're not doing it right. If you're not open at your open house, you're not doing it right. If there's an opportunity to make this experience better for your clients, better for you, better for other agents, looky lose everybody, okay? We'll talk about this more next week. So you're going to tag them. You're going to tag your strategic partners, all of them. Who's the person that deep cleaned the house? Who's the one that power washed the house? The landscaper that worked on it, the stager. Do you think they want to see all this? They do. And it's going to spread to their network as well because they're going to want to share it and see it. I was a part of this, which is a really good thing. Get them involved. Get your lender on there. Get your title officer. These your strategic partners should be on every single one of those listings that you have. Your inspector, etc. Okay? Don't just put anybody on there willy-nilly. I think this person might be interested in that person. That's not what you want to do. And if you put too many people up there, Facebook will start to flag that, and even Instagram as well, as you're just arbitrarily putting people up there because you think you're going to get a better reach. I've seen people tag 150 people. I get tagged sometimes like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just, yeah.
They put at everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And how do you tag people on a Facebook post or even an Instagram post when it's not a picture? Do you know how to do that? Use the @ sign. Yeah, use the @ sign to do that. So you just type in @ and then you type in, the person that you're trying to get and, make sure you find them. Okay? The last thing you're going to want to do to your post is on this pen right here. This is a map pen. You've seen that little symbol of a map pen. You're going to click on that and you're going to put the state that you're in. It's going to look where you're at right now. So Colorado Springs, if the city that you're in shows up, that's what you want. You want the city. Basically, what it's teaching Facebook and Instagram is that this location is what's important. Not where they're coming from, but where they're trying to look to buy, right? So you're teaching Facebook that this is about this Colorado Springs area of a home for sale. Make sense? You don't want to be too specific. Use the city is good. Okay. Any questions about creating a post with a hook and a call to action? Hashtags and people tags.
Eventbrite link is like a URL, a little small URL or something right after where you said.
Yeah, I put that in there. So once you create the Eventbrite link, right, or the Eventbrite event, it will then generate a link. You can even share it and stuff like that. If you want to do a tiny URL, they call it, you can convert it to a tiny URL if you want to do that.
Okay.
A lot of times I'll just put in the full URL.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think, doesn't Facebook not like you sending them away?
It doesn't necessarily like that, but guess what it likes more than anything else?
Paid ads.
Paid ads. That's what they like. You're going to pay for the ad, they're going to let you go wherever you want. Okay? I'm telling you, you have to think of as Facebook as an advertising platform. If you were to call up a newspaper and say, I want to put an ad in your paper, would you say, can you give me a free spot? And what would that spot look like and where would it be? Right? Yeah. So you have to think of Facebook and Instagram as an advertising platform. Your whole state of mind has to be, I know it seems like it should be free, it's social media networking, it's all this. Everything you think about social media is probably wrong when it comes to advertising.
So my biggest question with the Facebook advertising that I'm paying for is this whole, housing regulations. And if I'm selling a $1 million home and I know an 18-year-old can't buy it,
yeah.
Why am I wasting money?
Okay, well, you can think that way, but I'll show you in a second how you boost that or how you advertise. With the FHA, you will not be able to, fair housing, you will not be able to change the age range. That's true. But you can use specific demographics in terms of interests and behaviors. That is so much better than worrying about that age range.
That's
Okay.
what I want here.
Okay, I'll show you that. And it works. You saw the ads I did here. I could show you tons of them. You can go on the Captivate Facebook page, so please do that. Go to just look up Captivate Sales Coaching on Facebook, like the page, and you'll see those examples that I have up there, homes that I've helped others sell, or I helped other agents sell. And you'll even see these videos if you ever want to go back. They're up there as well. It's being streamed right now live on that Facebook page, which you can do. And so take advantage of that. But it works great. So you're going to put those two ads that are your web links, and then you're going to do your 3 ads that are web links. shouldn't say ads yet. They're not ads yet. They're posts. They will be ads. I'll show you that in a second. And then you're going to do your 2 posts that are video. Okay. So to do a video, you can see up here that you can do live video. I'm going to show you that a little bit next week during your grand open house, because you will do a live video, or you should, at your grand open house. It's a short one. Don't worry. Not a big long live video. And then you can add photo or video here. So this is where you go in and you just hit the link, but now it's different because it says add photos video, okay? And so you're going to add your videos here. Now remember what I said before, you're going to add actual video. MP4 is the universal file type for video, .mp4. You've heard of MP3 before? That's music. MP4 is video. So your videographer that does your video home show is going to send you an MP4 video or let you download that. He'll probably send you a link to like a Vimeo or YouTube link. You're going to have to download that to your computer in order to do this. It's very important that you download it. If you do not download it and then upload it to social media, it doesn't autoplay. If it doesn't autoplay, you're going to lose about 70 to 80% plus of the potential viewers of that video. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. How many of you have been on your Facebook or Instagram feed and a video shows up and it just autoplays, just starts playing? That is when you upload the video. If it's a link, it'll show an image with a play button and you have to hit the play button. You know how many people do that? No. Not very many, especially anymore. So you want it to autoplay. Now I did say that you can upload it to YouTube and then you put a link into the MLS listing to that video, or you put a link into your single property website. That you'll do because it is a link that they have to click on. But on your Facebook and Instagram wall, that advertising, it needs to autoplay. Okay?
So Facebook's blocked it even if you turn autoplay on YouTube?
Well, yeah, I guess so. It will not autoplay on Facebook, even if even if your video on YouTube says autoplay, it will not autoplay it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do a search for MP4 because it's going to be an MP4 video. As you notice, I'm just going to show you one of each type of link or post. One video, one URL. The rest are going to work the same. So here's this. This is a video home show that I did. So what it does is it takes an image that it found and decided that's the first image. Remember what's important about the first image? Everything, right? However, it's going to autoplay. So I'm not too worried. This play button in that image doesn't show up until after they've watched the video. And if they scroll away and come back, it'll replay the video. So I'm not too worried about that thumbnail, but you can change it. I'll show you how to do that. So when you put in a video, you're going to first put in your hook, remember? Call to action. What else do you put in there? Hashtags. And then what else? Your people tags. Right? And then over here, you're going to click on the location right down here. So same thing as before. The only difference with this one, if I go to video options, is I'll come over here. You don't have to put in a video title, but if you want to, you can. But the video title is just, you can put in video home show of such and such a home, but usually I put the hook right there, whatever I use for that hook. But you can put tags and collaborator. So on the tags, I will put in, these are the kind of the people tags, who is involved in this video. It wants to know right here. So you can use the @ sign on that other view, but you can also just tag people right here as well. So I usually use that feature here. It's a newer feature that they put up here. I'm not sure if there's any difference or one's better than the other. But the most important part of this is the add captions. You want to turn on auto-generated captions. So usually when a video autoplays, and you probably noticed that when you look at videos, is it'll play, but it doesn't play the sound. It'll play the video, but not the sound. And you'll have captions that are there. Mm-hmm. Only if you turn them on or you created them yourselves. You can create your own captions. There are programs out there that will create captions, and they do a great job. If you really want to get a good caption in there, I recommend looking into that. And you can upload the file that it, times it with, when those things are being said. Otherwise, you can let Facebook do it for you, and it does a decent job. Not a wonderful job, but a decent enough job that people will look at and say, oh, I want to hear this type of thing, right? So you want to make sure that those are there. This is where you can upload captions. You can use subrip, SRT files, and like I said, there are other programs where you can do that. You can upload its video, and it not only does it for you in sort of timing, but you can go in there and edit it and update it in any way that you want. Like if it spells your name wrong or your broker name wrong or something, which will happen a lot of times. Okay? So that's what's important there. Now that's only needed on your video home show because your drone footage most likely doesn't have anyone speaking unless you decide to do something. I've seen agents, or I've had agents that have gone to that next level of doing their videos, and they actually do a voiceover and talk about the house as it's going through showing the house. And even sometimes you can do it with Camtasia, which I'll show you. Put a bubble picture of you talking as it's going through and showing the property. So you can do some really cool things like that. Okay?
Where do
Yes.
you just click on that to get back to those settings for like the ad captions and stuff?
Where I got back here.
Yeah.
So I went to video options here.
options.
Yeah, and then I just hit this back button right there to go back. Okay? And I will create a new video. It's changed a bit. So if you've used that in the book, it says some help videos, and there's none there yet. It's because I'm redoing them, and they'll be up there hopefully by next week. Okay? But those are your two posts. That's a video post here, and then I showed you the web URL link post as well. Any questions about putting that up there? Pretty simple. I think the main thing to understand about these is having a good hook, a good call to action, and then doing your hashtags and your people tags. Okay?
The video post, is that different from, that's an Instagram thing?
No, that video post, you're doing this all on Facebook right now. When you go to Instagram, I don't have the time to go through the steps on Instagram, but Instagram is mostly done on your phone. It's not done on the computer. So you're going to basically take your videos and your pictures and upload them there. Okay? You can do it on your computer. And yeah, I think you can do it pretty well on there if you want to do it that way, which is fine. But it doesn't like URL. It's not going to take a link, like a web link, and put an image there and make it clickable. But once you promote that video, you can then add a link of where you want the people to go when they're interested, right? And that's how you create those landing pages. So typically on Instagram, I'll put the drone footage, and then I'll put all the pictures, right, on one of them. So I'll do a gallery of pictures. The gallery of pictures, I'll put the link to the single property website or the 3D tour, one of the two. And then on the other one, I'll put the Eventbrite event, depending on something like that. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's pretty straightforward doing it on there as well. So the next thing I want to show you is how to do there I'm doing all these videos, your boost. Okay, so I'll just do, I don't want to do that one. That's a dumb one. Okay, we'll do this one right here. Under every one of your posts on a business page, only on a business page. Super important to understand that. You cannot boost or advertise on any other account on Facebook or Instagram. It has to be a business account, business page. Okay? Then you have this option to boost. There are two ways to advertise on Facebook and Instagram. One is through boosting. The other is through Ad Manager. Ad Manager actually is better. It does have more options. You'll probably get a little bit more reach, and you just have overall more that you can do. If I showed you that, I think I mentioned this before, you would all run out of this room. It has got a bit of a learning curve. There's a lot to it. It's not that hard, but there is a lot of things that you need to know about it. I would make that a business development goal. Like I had said before, an agent's two most important skills are going to be marketing and sales. And on both of those, digital marketing or the ability to do this digitally is super important, right? Once you master those things, the rest of your business will do better. So when you're going to advertise using the boost option, and in Instagram it's called promote, right? When you do that, it's just a button like you see here. I can boost or I can promote, and you're going to get a page like this. So this is much less intimidating, I promise you this. Even if that intimidates you, then you don't even look at Ad Manager. So leave these as they are. If you're not sure, you can leave it. But one thing you have to do is this special ad category. You have to turn that on. Please don't forget that, or your ad will be rejected. This has to do with fair housing. Okay? So you asked about fair housing. You have to turn this on. Okay? If you do not turn that on and select housing, you will not be able to advertise. And to, that, what's your name back there?
Christine.
So, Christine? No, it's fine. You don't want to say?
I'm asking.
No, you're fine. No, they're good questions. you will not be able to change some of the information, that, like demographic information, that is considered non-ACOA, non-fair housing. So because of that, you won't have the ability to select age, for example, as one of those. But there's still plenty of things that you can select that's going to make this well worth it. Now, before this, you have this button that you can create. This is only going to show up if what you're promoting or what you're advertising doesn't have a link already. So if you already if it's one of those web URLs, that kind of ad, it's not going to put this here because it's assuming that's where you're going to want that to go. Now, on Ad Manager, you can change that. You can change the link to something else if you want, but probably wouldn't want to anyway. That's the landing page you want it to go to. But this is where you would create that. And notice that you only have book now, learn more, shop now, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have a lot of options. In Ad Manager, I can create any button I want, give it any name I want. I can create 5 hooks, 5 call to actions for every single ad that I put out there. So it does have a lot more options to it. I don't want to say that it's not, worth learning that, but for now, this will work just fine. So don't worry about figuring all that out right now. This is where the beauty of the whole thing comes in. This is probably, of all the things I'm teaching you today, this is, I hope, what you feel is the most powerful of this whole idea of advertising on social media. This is where you get to select your audience. Now, again, in Ad Manager, there are other options. You can even import lists and all sorts of great stuff. But here you're going to just select people that you're trying to attract with your advertising. And it works great for that. And others that are following you in other ways, their friends, their family, they're interested in housing that maybe right now aren't going to buy, they could still see these. So don't feel like you're not going to be able to reach them. As Christine mentioned here, you can't change the age range. If it's a multi-million-dollar home, and there might be some 18-year-olds that see it, but probably not so many with the other things that you're going to select. And plus, they would have to be engaged with it. Remember that? If they're not really interested in it or they don't show any interest, they're most likely not going to see it anyway. Okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But the next piece is what makes this brilliant. You can select first the location. This is not the location of the people you're trying to attract. Or you're like, well, I want everyone in the United States and half of Europe. All you're going to put here is where the location of the property is, where people are interested in when it comes to what you're offering. So in this case, we could put Colorado Springs. I would put the city, right? And then you have a radius that goes around that. And by default, the minimum is 15 miles. So if, let's say it's in, I don't know, what's a city within, I can't even remember all the names of cities. Rustic Hills, is that a city? That's right. Fountain? Okay, so you could do that. You could do Fountain. You could do that, and then it'll do a radius around that area. So that's what you'd want to choose, is the kind of the main city name for where that property is located. And then it'll do a 15-mile radius. What you're thinking about is, if people are my property's in Fountain, right? How big of a radius would they might be looking in order to also consider my property? Does that make sense? So that's kind of what you're looking at. So you can increase that. You can't go below 15 miles because that's part of the fair housing. They don't want you to redline, so to speak, right? So So you can do more than that if you want to, but I wouldn't go too broad. If it's like, well, yeah, but people that are in, I don't know, what's kind of further away?
Monument.
Yeah, Monument, is that quite, like people that are considering living here are probably not also considering buying in Pueblo. Does that make sense? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so you might not want to go out too far out. And then this is where it gets so amazing. This is where this whole thing makes everything I've said up to this point work. This is when you can choose detailed targeting based on interests and behaviors. Look at this: real estate investing, first-time buyer, starter home, first-time buyer grant, land lot, and all sorts of really cool stuff here. So what I want you to do when you first do this is hit the browse button. And I want you to read every single one that are in there. There's only about, there's about 100. Don't worry, there's not that many. It's only about 100. It's not that bad. Come on. It's not that bad. But I want you to know what they are so you know what to choose from. Now, you're not looking at possible buyer types. Like, oh, there's engineer in there. Yeah, an engineer could buy my house. You're going to be wasting your time if you click that, right? But they are things like luxury homes. Zillow and Truly is in there. House Hunter is in there. FHA approved homes, I think, is in there. Pre-qualified mortgage, or getting a pre-qualification is in there. So those things, there's probably about a dozen that have to do with real estate. Some of them you'll want to choose. Some of them you may not want to. Down at the bottom of this, here we go, this list or this audience, you have too specific, too broad, and then this red line right in the middle. You kind of want to be right there in the middle. If you're too specific, you're not going to reach as many people for your money. If you're too broad, you're going to reach so many people that aren't really going to be that interested, most likely, and the conversion rate's going to go down. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you really want to kind of stay in the middle. So it should make sense to you. Hit the browse button and go through and read it. If it's a condo, first-time home buyers are great. There's been some that were like, this is a really low-priced condo unit. So I even chose apartment list in there, or people that are renters thinking, hey, if you're looking for an apartment, you might want to consider this place. It's not that bad, of a price point. So, but then you might have a $1.5 million home. That's where the 18 to 25, like, unless they're, bought cryptocurrency a few years ago or something like that, they're probably not bought in that market. So you can put in luxury home buyer, I think is what it says in there. And then that would rule out most likely someone that doesn't have the ability to buy it as much, right? But does that make sense what you're doing? You're selecting things that Facebook and Instagram have determined are within the interests and behaviors dynamically, metadata of that particular person that would see it, okay? Then you save the audience. It'll save it for next time you're going to do this. Then you put in the number of days. You should never advertise on Facebook or Instagram less than 4 days. It's a complete waste of money. Just not worth it. And you should never advertise on one ad less than $25 for the duration of whatever that is. You're just wasting your money if you do it for less than that. So what we found, the sweet spot that we found, is if you're going to do an open house that's going to happen in 5 days, we found that anywhere between $25 per ad to $100 per ad has been a good price point for that. Now, when I say $25 per ad, which will be about $225 if you have 5 ads, that's good for your lower price, properties. For your $1 million plus, I'll easily spend $100 per ad on those. So you just have to decide how much you want to spend. But the rule is less than $25, not even worth it, and less than 4 days, not even worth it. This should actually happen as you're getting ready for the grand open house, because that's the urgency that we're creating for that, okay? You'll also see over here how many people that you're going to reach. This says 425 to 1.2 thousand. Well, I'm thinking, why wouldn't I get 1.2 thousand? I'm paying for it. Anyone know why?
Because your hook's bad?
Because if your ad sucks and not as many people are going to see it. That's really what it comes down to. Basically, the more engagement you get, the more your ad will reach. And you'll get even organic reaches because if people share it and things like that. So if your ad is good, if your home looks great and you've advertised it well, your hook is great, they're engaging it because the call to action is good because they're clicking on it, then Facebook is going to show it to more people. Because what is Facebook and Instagram trying to do? They want to help you, but only as much as it doesn't annoy other people, as much as they want to be a part of that. If they like it and they engage with it, Facebook wants to help you. Now, of course, they are a for-profit company, so they're only going to help you as much as you pay for it, but they will help you as much as that ad makes it exciting or engaging for other people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's why I teach it in this format or in this context. Is anybody can teach you how to post stuff on Facebook and Instagram. But it's not until you understand what people want to see and how they would engage with that and how to get them to engage with it that's really the secret of advertising. And for real estate, it has to be about homes. I don't care how cool and awesome you are, how many free crumble cookie boxes you want to give out or whatever events you put up. I actually think a lot of times lots of money spent on a theater rental or something like that doesn't give you the bang for the buck, so to speak, the ROI, as something like this can give you. People, when they work with a real estate agent want to work with someone that knows what the heck they're doing and helps me to get more money for my home. My lawyer doesn't take me to a movie, or takes my family to some water slide event that they have once a year, or a pumpkin patch or something like that. They don't need to. I trust and like what they do because of what they do, not because of the event that they provide. Does that make sense? So if that gives you any insight.
Is that $25 every day for
No,
5
no.
days?
This is 25 days for the 5 days. This is duration. For the duration of that
Okay, so
ad.
Just 25
It's
flat?
25 flat.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it hits 25, it stops. And it might not even hit 25. You know why it doesn't hit 25? Because your ad sucks. That's seriously. It's like, I'm not throwing that ad out there if no one's going to want to be a part. I don't want to annoy people. I hate to say that, but if you have an ad that goes out there and it's like you put in $500 and it's spent $130, you're like, what? It's because no one wants to see it.
So this is a boost to the video post, and separately you're gonna boost your
You're going to boost all 5 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's the same kind of it's the same exact process. I don't need to show you how to do it differently for the different ones because it's the same exact one, or the same steps that you follow. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about this part of it? You all got it? It's all like there in the head. You're ready to do it. How many of you have gotten a new listing because of the listing presentation yet? Right? Or the new listing presentation that you have? You did. That's awesome. Yeah, did it help? Well, good. I'm glad. But now you got to deliver on it, right? Yeah, exactly. So now you got to figure out how to do that. And then once you do, that's the snowball effect of this, right? Now, before everyone takes off,
I'm only one.
I know.
It's okay.
I want to show you how to generate buyer leads using Facebook groups. So another thing, I thought that was there. No, here it is. How many of you have heard of a Facebook group before? Okay, so you have a business, you have a Facebook account, then you have a Facebook business page, and then you have even some variations of that, and then you have a Facebook moms that love to run. It could be anything. It could be 24/7 yard sale sites. Things like that. Those are all those interests. Guess what a big interest is when it comes to real estate? What was that? Flipping? Yeah, that's actually a good one. Yeah, having a flipper on it, flipping information. So one that we found that works really good is, do you know of any place that you can go to where all the homes for sale and for rent, including the ones off the MLS, and all the rental properties are in one place? No. And if you're a real estate expert, what should you know about in your community that you farm? All the homes that are for sale for rent in one place. So one of the things that I teach is create a Facebook group for your farm. We'll talk about the farm in a couple of weeks, and we'll get more specific about it, where that should be. You can't market to the whole state of Colorado. You shouldn't be the agent for Colorado Springs and Denver and Pueblo and everywhere in between, right? And Castle Rock and all that, because honestly, you're going to spread yourself out too thin and you're not going to be a true expert. But when you focus on one place in terms of a marketing strategy, which we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, you'll be amazed at how much you can generate business because you'll stand out from all the agents that don't specialize. And guess what people want? Specialists in areas, right, in communities. So this is one way to do that. So I'm going to teach you today kind of the logistics of it when it comes to Facebook, but I'll teach you in a couple of weeks what that means in terms of your farm strategy, marketing strategy, and how well that works. But there's a couple of agents that I've coached, that Marcus and Peggy Case. They are mother and son. They haven't been in real estate for a long time. He's young. I think he's still in his 20s. And his mom was a hairdresser just like 3 or 4 years ago. And she had a lot of good connections, you can imagine, as a hairdresser. So she decided to get into real estate. They are with this one large brokerage out there. I think there's like well over a couple of 100 to 300 brokers there. They're the top brokers, or the top agents in that brokerage. And but one of the things that they do in order to generate leads is they have 3 different Facebook groups, right? One is for where she farms, which is in what's it called, Springville, where he farms, which is in Vineyard. And then they have a niche group, which are first-time buyers and investors, people that are looking for those low-income, lower price point properties. And then they have a Facebook group for that. You can go a little broader in terms of geographic area for that. But anyway, so getting into all that, every single house that's for sale and for rent in this particular city called Vineyard is on this page. Every single one. Every morning, and they don't do it anymore. They have an assistant that does this, which is nice. Like I told you, you can graduate to the point where you have someone to help you. But all you have to do is a search on your own MLS website, which you need to have your own IDX website to do this. And if I haven't talked to you about that enough, I will talk about it more as we go along. You have to have, in order to build your business appropriately, your own IDX website. And we've partnered with ProAgent Websites to give you an option for that if you want it at a discount. But please get your own website. That's the only way you can do this. And it's the only way that it's compliant, by the way, as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to put all the homes that are for sale from the MLS first. They go onto their website and they just do a search for all the new homes and vineyards, right? And they can even create their own listing alert. They don't have to even do a search. They can create a listing alert. And then they copy that link and then they paste it into here. They write a hook and a call to action. What's the call to action for this?
Click here for a list of homes.
No.
To see the house.
Call me. Call me to see the house. It's not their listing, so call me to see the house, right? I'm a buyer agent. I'm representing this as a buyer agent. Nothing incompliant about this. You're helping the seller sell their home. You know, it's done with listing alerts. It's done with PPC. It's done with all different other ways that we help promote homes as on the buyer side. So it's totally compliant. But you click on this, it goes to a compliant IDX web page, which is theirs, and it shows who is the agent to call. Them, right? It's not their listing, but it shows them. Totally compliant. But what they do is they put a hook in there. What do? They have to take a minute to read about that property and pick one or two things out. It's not hard to do about what's great about that property. And then they put, ready to see this in person? Call, text. Here's the information right here. There's a hook and call to action. Their hook's getting a little long there, Peggy. You'll have to talk to her. But you can see that, you know, maybe they're both, I don't know. But all of these go there. So they have... Then they have rentals. Female private room, shared bath available April 1st, located in Vineyard, rent, All the rentals are there. How many of you have people that call you up and ask about rentals, right, in different areas? So now they're all in one single place. This is what makes it great, too, with the FSBO and the renters is you know how to go to classifieds or wherever you have, I don't know where you have it here in this area for rental properties, but in Utah we have what's called rentler.com. And KSL, they work together on that. And you can do a search in your particular farm for all the rentals up there. Instead of just posting it up there until you've gotten permission from the property manager or the owner, but you text them. I manage a Facebook group called Vineyard Homes and Rentals. And I saw your home that you have for rent or for sale if it's FSBO, and I want to put it up there. Is that all right? If not, you can do it, and here's the link to do it. And then you can even say, by the way, I'm an agent, but I understand, like if it's FSBO, that you don't want to work with an agent, so go ahead and post that up there. You know what's crazy is you get so much back and forth with these people. If they're FSBO, how many of you have thought about how do I contact a FSBO person that hates agents, right? Which they all do. They put in big cap letters, no agents or no commission or something like that. Then what happens when they get all these lowball offers, or they get an offer and they don't know what to do with escrow and all these other things, and now they're scared and don't know what they're doing, right? And then they need help. So when you give instead of ask in the beginning, hey, I've got this place where you can post it, and then you give them permission to post their own, and then you have renters that go on there that say they're looking for a place, and then you respond to them, hey, we've got a pathway to qualification program to help you buy your next property. It's a great way. They generate about 10 to 12 leads a week just from these, like solid leads a week from these Facebook groups. So this is another good way that you can do that. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you before I jet out of here is that after you sell a property, how many of you do like a just listed, just sold type of thing? Don't do those anymore. You don't have to. You don't have to put a post up there that says, hey, look, I just helped someone sell their home. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take those pictures that you took when you first did the tour of the property, and then you got the new pictures and the video that you did once it was, freshened up and staged and all that, and you do a before and after. Have you ever seen those HGTV before and afters? That's what you're going to do. And as they do it, you're going to talk about in your video how you helped get this house sold quickly and for more money. And you don't have to say it in those words, but you can talk about what you do to help people sell their homes to get more money from their properties. That's the kind of advertising that works on social media. And it works really, really well because promoting yourself on social media is not what people want to see. Except for the few people that really love you, your kids and your family and stuff like that, and your mom. Yeah, they do. They're cool about that. Yeah. But exactly. But if you want new business, if you want to impress people with what you can offer in terms of what you can do in helping people buy and sell properties, then it should all be about the properties and what you've done to improve and sell those properties and help people buy properties that that they're going to look in a particular area for and things like that. Okay, so next week's class is about the grand open house. You can't like the whole culmination of your ads, the urgency that you've created is about the open house. So you have to put on this open house. I'll teach you about things like putting 30 to 40 signs out at your open house. I'll teach you about, I don't want to give it away, but all sorts of really great things that's going to help you have an open house where not only have you invited a bunch of people and they come, but you know how to funnel them through the house and how to get their information and how to make them want to work with you as you help them. Even if there are other agents working with their client to buy the property, it's going to make the whole experience better for you and it'll help your business to grow. The following week after that, we'll do the Captivating Buyers class. Then we'll do the community. Anyway, we got so many good things to go to go through. But as you go through all these things, if you start putting it together, this is the one thing that agents I do hear from, is that if they wait too long to really start trying to put it together, they don't have their listing presentation set up, they haven't put together their, their leave behinds, their home shopping bag and stuff like that, you get to the end and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do all this. Treat this like you would a high school or college class. Read the chapters, ask good questions, do the homework, and you will get to the point where you'll be amazed at how well this works if you put it all together. We will have a small group, I only take 10, where I personally coach 10 through how to put it all together. It's called Cap 88. It's a 3-month basically implementation of all these things. And if you're interested in that, we'll talk about that later as we go along. But I hope this helped you today. I hope that you felt like you got good information from this. Again, as you come next week and the weeks after, it'll start to piece the puzzle together even more. But believe me, it works. It works really well. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.